but that's all you do.
That's the first thing they heard. That's all you do.
Welcome, Loudmouths of the internet, to the Loathsome Loudmouths podcast with today's honorary Loudmouths, Metal FH,
Hello.
Fallen Angel Pyrex,
Yeah.
and Onyx Razel.
Annyeong.
That was a weird. What?
I was trying to find your stupid channel because I found out that, I thought I was subscribed on this side of it and I wasn't, so I could watch the live stream. So now I gotta go find it again. Where did you go? This is already a mess.
Somewhere. It didn't really help that, the first when I heard the whatever you said, it sounded like you said onion. I don't know why.
Well, that's what you are. Why is it your logo keeps disappearing on me? I'm ready to scream.
My logo keeps disappearing. It's ninja logo.
Oh, I didn't spell it right.
Yeah, I'll just do this.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm tired. Leave me alone.
Yeah. Anyway, let's actually get into this show. What are we gonna be doing today? Well, the same thing we normally do. We find stupid news and just make fun of how stupid news is in general, I guess. Because let's face it, news is often stupid, and stupid stuff finds its way into the news.
No way.
Yeah, pretty much. It's
When does
what?
One.
It was a nice sentence, Barry. I don't know where that went, but
Headspin
certainly
myth.
in the trash.
When doesn't that happen?
Yeah, never mind. So let's just start with what we normally start with while Onyx is trying to find our channel somewhere.
No, I found it. But now, though, I accidentally clicked on GIMP, and so now that's loading up and it's
Wait.
slowed in my
I-
computer, and I'm ready to
GIMP?
scream. Yeah,
I-
because
I-
I was going back and forth between Firefox and Google Chrome and Skype, and then I accidentally clicked on it, so it's slowing down everything.
By the way, Barry, GIMP is software. It's not the fucking leather-clad.
Yeah, no. It's an image changer. That's how I used to make thumbnails.
Okay, I'm sorry. I've never heard of GIMP before, and the only thing I can think of was like GIMP masks and suits and stuff. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Oh, Perry.
So
I know, like you're. I'm sorry.
I just
You know I'm not into
noticed.
that anyway.
Yeah.
I just noticed that in our chat in the video they can see that you typed sexbot and ballsack scrotum.
Yeah. Apparently,
Enjoy.
that's gonna be in the entire video. She's just.
I
but-
always type
I think-
something in the chat to test it, so I just thought, you know what, it's gonna be there all the time.
If people want that to disappear, I'm saying people, like multiple people. It was just one person last stream apparently, but if people want that to disappear, they have to type other stuff, and at some point it will probably disappear.
If someone's watching this, type penis.
And
Thanks.
we're off to the races.
What is that? Is that like the thing that also comes in like wacky races or something?
No.
That would have been funny. Anyway, that was just a brief aside. Let's get to the little known fact for this time. And I used an app which, funny,
Oh no.
funny story. There was an app that was designed to give us facts about whatever. But there were so many fucking typos in there. I'm starting to doubt if what they're actually saying is correct. But
So this may be true or false.
this is, yeah. I decided to go with it anyway because it sounded
We couldn't be bothered to fact check it.
horrendous. Yeah. So it's a little known fact? Question mark? Yeah, just add the question mark in there.
Okay.
Anyway. The reproduction rate of rats is so high that under favorable circumstances, 2 rats could multiply to 1 million rats in a year and a half. That's
Yes.
what the fucking little known fact is supposedly is. So that means you have a shitload of rats under the right under the wrong circumstances, I might say.
Right, so-
Because who the fuck wants rats? Am I right?
I want a rat as a pet.
Really?
Yeah.
You could. They're very useful.
And I want to call it Scabbers.
Scabbers? Why
Also,
would you
that's
call it
not a
scabbers?
very nice
there are
image. Come
people
on,
who have
treat rats
rats.
You mean,
nicer.
like, from
Are you Harry Potter?
Scabbers?
Peter
Just
Pettigrew.
leave him
I
alone.
know. I was
Just
joking.
leave him alone.
I was trying to fuck with your head. Sorry.
I'm leaving.
Fuck, the stupid sizzling sound is still there. I still don't know what it is. Let's ignore it. Anyway, let's get to the next thing. Before the articles this time, we are actually talking about stupid shit I found on Twitter. And it's called, this little segment is called Straight Up the Twit Hole. Because everyone knows that Twitter is basically a shithole, so let's not mask that fact and just get straight into the shit I found on Twitter.
First one?
Yeah. So I'm gonna have to explain this a bit before Onyx gets to see it, I guess, because she's gonna have a bit of a delay before this shows up.
Can I read it?
So yeah,
Me
what does
too.
it say?
Shaming women for our body odor is low-key sexist.
Oh, I see it.
It's time to stop stigmatizing women's natural musk.
I mean, isn't it just plain obvious that if someone stinks, it doesn't really matter what their race or gender is.
Yep.
You just stink. Like if people don't like your odor, if a majority of people don't like the way you smell, they're allowed to say something about that. And if you want to continue stinking, like
Unless
that's
you smell like shit.
your
and
fucking
then-
choice, isn't it? Like if you smell like fucking big shit, and that's,
Actually, no. In saying that, there was
What?
a person on the bus. I think it was me and Freek were on the bus.
yeah.
I can't.
You just
think
you just
there was
fucking
this-
doxed him. You said his real first name.
I'm sorry.
Great job, Perry. Everyone knows you.
Why?
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
Now the hackers are gonna find him.
I didn't say your last name.
They could already find you because your name is just visible in one of our guacamole guacamole videos.
Guacamole, yeah, that's true.
Wait, really?
Not guacamole.
Yeah, because of fucking
You just spat in my face.
don't. Okay, thanks, Perry. That was just a brief aside that was pretty useless.
I'm
You
sorry.
derailed the conversation.
Actually, no, you
Good job.
derailed the conversation.
Yeah, now I derailed the conversation even further because you derailed the conversation.
No.
Great job.
I was
You
just
started
saying.
derailing
Stop
the conversation.
derailing the
Now the conversation is
conversation.
fully derailed. It's a full-on train wreck. Great job, Perry.
Why can't we all just get along?
It's a story about body odor.
Yeah, you were saying that there was someone on the bus, and he smelled really badly.
We also then worked out that he had also possibly pissed himself.
Oh, wait, there was a person on the
Oh.
bus that pissed himself.
The old guy that had like
Yeah, he
Oh,
smelled like
that
piss.
spot. I didn't really.
Yeah, you could smell piss, but the thing is, there was like a spot underneath him that had like it was just like a puddle.
Yeah.
A bottle of piss.
Ugh.
We don't know. It was either him or the dog.
I didn't really smell piss,
Wait, so
so.
the dog, but he was a wet spot.
What's
under
going
him?
on over in that side of the world?
So
I
did
don't
the
know.
did his dog piss on him or something?
No, it was on the floor.
Oh. I thought the guy like maybe he has like a bestiality pissing fetish or something. He just wants animals to piss on him.
Animal from the Muppet Show.
I mean, I've never seen Muppet dick, so well, I don't want to see Muppet.
Rule
dicks. Let me-
34!
No, no,
No! No, 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 no.
We are not going into that neck of the woods again.
no.
I say you can go to that neck of the woods.
Yeah, I'm not looking up the Muppets there. Jesus. It's fucking
Then
furry
what
dicks.
are you gonna look up there?
I don't know.
Go.
I did see a funny picture of Adolf Hitler being fucked up the ass by a walrus.
Oh my god!
It was really shittily drawn, but it was still funny. I just had to laugh. Especially because walruses have like a solid bone in their dick. Makes it
Yeah.
even funnier.
Wait,
Yeah.
really?
Anyway, we're basically getting off track here. We were talking about people who stink. Like,
Like you.
I mean, this is a weird thing to hear, like, shaming women for body odor is low-key sexist. I don't know, but isn't it often naturally men who have, like, a stronger
Yeah.
scent of sweat? Like,
Yeah.
their
You stink.
sweat smells stinkier. Yeah, it stinks more,
Do
obviously.
you have a link to this article so I can read like where's their argument coming from?
This was just a Twitter caption. That's why this is...
Oh,
that's why
okay,
this is
okay,
called
okay, okay.
Straight up the tweet hole. It's just shit that sounds...
Okay, let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, maybe.
Because I'm wondering though, because I know that there's a huge problem with there are legitimately some guys who think that women who wear perfume, like that's how women should smell, like flowers or like fruit or something like that. And it's like, no, that's like, are you dumb? Like, do you need help?
Yeah, that is like.
Like there are legitimately guys who believe that, and it's like, oh, honey.
I mean,
I found a link here.
I can understand
Okay,
if people
thank
say
you.
like, yeah, I prefer this smell.
Yeah, no, but there's some guys that legitimately do not understand that, like, those are like fake, and then women put them on. Like, I have like a vanilla perfume that I sometimes have, like, if I know that I'm gonna be like walking around a lot. But it's like, yeah, there's some people that who legitimately believe it though.
The subtitle for that article is "It's time to stop stigmatizing women's natural musk." So I don't think it's about perfume.
But it could still be. Who knows?
No, this is still just a caption of it. It's not the actual article itself.
But then again, natural musk. What does that mean?
Oh,
What
yeah.
is natural musk? Because like if natural musk, doesn't that mean that you don't wash yourself at all? Isn't that how you get your natural
yeah.
musk?
Yeah,
look
or
up the
like if like
Muppets.
you just let me tell you something. When you work out, like you're gonna like Charlie, you know this because you also work out. Like you're gonna smell too.
Hey, what
Yeah,
the
that's
fuck?
true.
I just realized something from that website that I found with the same image on. Their fucking armpits are rainbow colors.
Yeah.
Really? Okay. Yeah. Who the fuck draws? Who the fuck colors their armpit hair? That's like just. It sounds like. I don't know. Weird. It's like, hey, I have
You know,
armpit
some
hair.
people.
Notice
I
me.
don't. You
Let
know what? If
Shaman
you're
for
into
that
that,
instead.
whatever. Nah.
I mean, it's just who the
Is
fuck colors their.
is
It looks like
is there another
it looks
thing?
like their arms are. Actually, the weird thing is like. The fact with the rainbow color, it just makes it looks like there's mold under your arms instead of hair. It's just weird. It looks like you didn't wash yourself. That's what they call. That's what the natural musk is. They just don't want to use shampoo. They don't want to wash themselves. They don't want to have perfume. They just want to stink and be sweaty, and grow mold under their arms. Apparently, I don't
Mom
know.
spaghetti.
Okay, so I tried finding the actual article itself, and I could not find it.
I mean, neither.
Yeah, it's
So I'm kind of I'm thinking that this might actually not be a real thing, like a real article.
Or they
it could-
deleted it.
Yeah, maybe, or it's
No, if it's something like this, they're gonna keep it up.
yeah, or maybe it's like on some like what is it called? It's maybe it's some Tumblr thing that's like really deep that you can't get to. Cause it's
Or
only for certain people.
Yeah,
what's it
maybe it's
called?
from the
Jack's
deep
Films,
web.
how like he had like the fake news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think. Oh, and yeah,
You could
because
still
I'm now
look up.
looking up the author's name.
It says by Katie. Yeah, that was what you were doing.
Yeah, I'm looking up the article.
Have you tried BuzzFeed?
It could be from BuzzFeed.
Dude, I don't want that in my. I don't want BuzzFeed in my search results. Are you nuts?
Ooh. Is there
They're content
another?
stealers. I've got a good reason.
Do you have your stupidity filter on your browser? Maybe that's why you can't find it. I mean, we're taking a bit too much time trying to find the article. Like, come on, you can try and find it at the same time. We'll talk about the next thing.
Yeah.
This is just something I saw Epic retweet.
Oh my god!
Because like yeah, he's American and he's really into the like freedom of choice type thing where people just say that like everything is
Yeah.
but this time he has another point because this is really stupid. Apparently the UK supermarkets are just like not selling soft drinks to like people under fucking the age of 16.
Basically, they're not selling energy drinks. So Monster, Red Bull, Relentless, all those type of things, and they're also not selling Coca-Cola, Diet Coca-Cola, Pepsi, and all that stuff to under 16-year-olds.
Yeah, and here's the thing: like when it comes to I would get like the fact that like I still don't agree with the fact that we have to have people that we have the government that we need to have the government mind our health or some bullshit. Be like constantly like, yeah, you shouldn't do that because that's not healthy, so we'll disallow that. I don't agree with that bullshit to begin with.
Aren't you guys allowed to buy cigarettes at like 17 or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, so
16.
like you can't buy us. That's.
You
I mean, yeah.
What about
cigarettes
Perry?
in England?
Oh,
Yeah, I think.
I was gonna
I
say,
think
can't you? I know
cigarettes-
you could buy them younger than we can, so that's why I'm asking.
Oh yeah, when can you guys buy cigarettes over there?
18. I know that
16.
because, yeah, and also like the thing about the 18-year-olds though is that I used to have a guy friend who he would take money from kids and then like he would buy them all cigarettes, like that was like his thing. Which is
Jesus.
illegal, but because he's 18, he can go buy it. Well, same thing though. If like there's like a lot of like games that you can't buy till you're legally an adult. But if a kid picks out a game and says, "Mom, I want this," and then the adult says, "Okay, honey," and then just goes and buys it, there's nothing that the clerk can do and say, "Oh, because you're clearly giving it to a kid, we can stop you." Nope, because it's the purchaser is the adult. They can't do anything about it.
Like, apparently to Barry that happened. I could just buy the fucking games anyway. Like, they don't really give a fuck about that over here. But apparently in the UK, some idiot at Saks was like, yeah, there's a store called Saks that sells fucking...
I've always called it Kex, but apparently they found out it's called Sex.
Yeah.
It's spelled C-E-X, but hey.
Yeah, we figured out because we saw an ad for it, and the ad started out with like a harmony of people singing like sex, and then it started like the commercial. So that's how we found out that it was called Sex. But the thing was, what happened? Your mom was about to buy like a game or something for you, and they saw that it was clearly for you, and they were like, "Yeah, no, you can't buy the game because it's a blah blah blah." Huh?
Oh no, it wasn't a game.
What was that then?
It was a movie.
It's even worse.
Because I didn't have ID, and it was a 15+ movie.
Who
You
cares
could
about
see
that?
like
Jeez.
the only thing I had with me was my college ID, and I showed it to them, and they went, "Oh, we can't use that as a form of ID." And you could see I was older than 15, and then I gave it to my mum behind me, and the lady then went, "Oh, I can't serve you because I know you're buying it for her."
Yeah,
it's
but-
like, for fuck's sake!
Can I point something out there as well?
Then
Isn't it
closed
called
down.
parental advisory? Doesn't that kind of say that like parents should be able to say like, yeah, fuck that bullshit. I don't agree with that. My kid is fine handling that shit at this age.
Hey, you wanna know what it was?
What?
Mrs. Brown's Boys.
How's
well,
15?
I don't know what that is.
Oh, we've got some stuff to watch.
Yeah, it's
Nope.
It's some weird shit, I guess.
I've showed you before.
Yeah, it's about isn't it kind of similar to Mrs. Doubtfire because it's a
Yeah.
like that. It's basically a guy dressed up as
A guy just as a woman, but the thing is, it's not.
a. How is that 15 plus anyway?
Have you heard her?
No, she swears or something.
Yeah.
Okay, but still, what the fuck? Who cares? Anyway.
Fucking hell! I went to see Bruno in cinema
Yeah.
when it came out. And
That was pretty funny.
when
You would
was
have been
that?
really
Find
young.
out. I
Oh,
get
shit.
ID.
I was in high
for
school when that
smallest
came
little
out.
Things.
2009. So I was like 14.
Fuck's sake, can I have tape?
Oh, I was in college then. Good grief.
Yeah. Can you guys keep talking about something? I just need to go.
You need to. He needs. To,
Okay, bye.
So,
Okay,
he's-
so
Fuck me.
he needs to shit, basically.
I have cramps. I'm dying. I don't know where they came from.
Okay, why the fuck was your tape smaller than mine? I'm taking over this live stream now. Fuck off.
good for you, Perry. You tell him.
Yay!
Oh my god.
What are we doing? Oh yeah. No, I searched up to see if this was actually a true thing in the UK about the. But apparently it's because of the high caffeine and something else. But Theresa May wanted to get this high caffeine thing, like these type of drinks, not for under 16-year-olds, because of a guy dying, and his family believed that the cause of these caffeine drinks and stuff caused him to commit suicide.
The fuck?
Because I think it was like something to do with not depression. It begins with an A. What's it called?
So,
How much research has been done on this, or did they just react to, oh, we think that his death was caused by this, and they went, oh, okay, well, let's ban it. Like, was it more reactionary, or was it based off studies?
Here's a quote. It says here, in January, Theresa May promised to look into the dangers of the drinks after the death of Justin Bartholomew, who was 25.
Okay.
Who took his own life after regularly drinking 15 cans a day. His family believed that the energy drinks heightened his anxiety and helped contribute to his death.
Well, I'm going to go on a limb and say that if he's drinking 15 cans of that per day, he had a lot more going on in his life that was really bringing him down, that caused him to drink that much.
Maybe he was addicted to it. There's a difference. There's still a difference between energy drinks and Coca-Cola or Pepsi.
Yeah. But the thing is, though, there's a huge difference, though, between that, yeah, sure, we all know it's bad for you, versus, is this something that is a cause of death? Like, obviously, he's drinking a ton of it, but what else what led him to have this type of nutritional pattern? Like, what about this? Like, let's be real here. Like, was his family getting, like, a divorce? Did he have... was he bullied a lot? Did he have abusive childhood? Like, were there other outside factors that caused him to go, I really am gonna have all this all the time? Because, like, even me, like, you guys, I mentioned it before the show that, like, I'm an excessive peach tea drinker, and, like, I get in trouble with my dentist from it, and, like, and I deserve it, but, like, there's just a point to where you're like, okay, I enjoy it, but, like, it's not gonna kill me.
It's like
it's not like cigarettes.
I'm like an excessive Coca-Cola drinker. I love, but I have the sugar to help me wake up and that. But the thing is, I drink Coca-Cola Zero, even though I fucking hate it. As a way to combat that. But the thing is, I'm reading the rest of this. You ready to hear the rest of this article?
Okay.
I'm just like reading a little bit of it. Taking quotes. So it says, even though the industry labeling guidelines stating that that any soft drink with more than 150 milligrams of caffeine per liter must carry a warning about the high caffeine content, and
if you don't,
it's not recommended for children.
Do we really need to put that on the label? Like, seriously?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Like, are people still I understood, like, the 50s with, like, smoking, where, like, there are people who genuinely believe that, yeah, sure, like, it smells bad and people are coughing, but that doesn't mean that it's gonna kill me. But is it, like, something like that, or is, like, I don't know. There's just a point where you have to understand that just being people are gonna be stupid. And also, he was 25. You are an adult at that age, especially, he's been an adult for quite a few years. He was more than enough in control of what he chose.
Yeah, I was like, but also there's like a teachers group that describe the beverages as legal highs.
Yeah.
As someone who's actually been in the school system on the other side of it, let me say this: that soft drinks are not the number one issue for teens that age.
No, they're not.
Not by a long shot.
You were smoking. Some people were smoking weed, and we all know it.
But
even weed though isn't. I wouldn't consider that my top 10 of as being on like the teacher side of it. That I have issues with kids bringing into class, or that I've seen their behaviors be erratic in class with. That's not even in the top 10.
So what is the top 10? I'm just curious, and I think if people watch this, they would probably be curious.
I don't know how much I can say about this, considering where I am currently, because because it's really mean. Let me tell you something. The number one cause of issues with kids in the classrooms always comes back to the parents. Always. Such as there was a kid who there was this one when I first started subbing, there was this one kid who her parents every day would drop her off with a giant frappuccino. It was like I think it was a grande green. It was like it was not it was one of like those really sugary frappuccinos. Like it wasn't the green tea ones. It was one of the, like the light ones. Anyway, that's all she would have for breakfast would be a frappuccino.
What
And
the fuck?
not even like at Starbucks, like you can get like, like those protein meals or like a snack from there or like something with like bread or carbs in it, something that could fill you up but wouldn't like send you off the roof. But no, they gave her like this. And also she was at the time, she was I'd say about 7 years old. And every day that I was in there for about 2 weeks, she came to school with that.
Oh my fucking god.
Yeah, but like.
Yeah,
I
and also there was another time
isn't that
where
pretty expensive. Couldn't you easily buy like food and drinks for that?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm like,
Yeah.
it's cheaper for you to actually get her a meal than to get her a frappuccino every day. Or, why don't you get her some cereal or something? Like, even cereal, like, obviously has its issues where, like, you shouldn't be giving them all the sugary stuff. But at the same time, though, that's better than just a solid drink. You're giving a kid it's sugar, it's milk, stuff like that before
High-level
class.
caffeine.
Like, it's so high level. It's way higher than you could get from cereal. And then also I had another kid, once again, going back to the parents were getting a divorce, and whenever the girl would spend the nights at her dad's house, her dad would just give her like a family-sized bag of chips and just say, here's your lunch. And so her mom found out about it, and so then she started paying for hot lunch, so that because apparently the dad wouldn't pack her lunch, he would just give her like a bag of chips and say, that's it, like that's your meal. And she was about 7, I think she was about 8 at the time.
Oof. So.
And this is going on for a while too, and like there's nothing that the school can do. Like there's certain things that like can be like reported, but honestly, the like once again goes down to the parents.
Yeah.
Also, like let me just say this right now because in case that you two ever become parents, I think that you're gonna have more common sense than most parents. But anyway, if you see that your kid is struggling, first of all, pay attention to your kids. Pay attention. Like I can tell by the way your kid walks into a classroom if you care about your kid. I can tell just by the way that they walk in. And I'm not even fully licensed teacher at this time. I can tell. And so pay attention to your kids. Like if they're and because I can tell just by the way that they walk in the classroom, I can tell if you let them talk, like you actually listen to them. I can tell if they got enough sleep the night before. I can tell if they ate breakfast. I can tell if you care about them growing and learning. I can tell all that just by the way they walk into a classroom. So, and also like if like your kid though, if you once again, first of all, pay attention to your kid. If your kid is struggling in something and you notice that, get them help. Like I cannot stress how many parents who they notice like, oh well, he's not doing well at this, and then they just go, oh well, or like they make excuses and they won't get their kids help. There's one kid who's got a huge behavioral problem. He should not be in the main classroom. He is just miserable. All he does when he's in the main classroom is just glare, and just like he just stomps around and he just goes around and he tries to like kick kids. That's all he does because the parent refused to get him any help. So he has, and also I've known this kid for a couple of years now since I've started this, since I started sort of subbing, and I've just seen him grow like more and more sullen because he should have been stopped at 1st or 2nd grade and gotten the help he needed. And now he's up at like the upper grades and he can't keep up with his classmates. He can't interact with them because he has no social skills. And he's miserable, and he's not getting anything out of it. And people around him aren't getting anything out of it either. Get your kids help if they need it, and pay attention to your kids.
It's kind of like me, not me, my mum, but like my mum, she started noticing the signs that I was dyslexic, and possibly kind of autistic. But she tried to get the school to like give me a test. Nobody would give me a test until I had to write a report, I believe, about me getting hit on the bus. And one of the teachers, the person who I was writing the thing, read my thing and went, "Have you ever gotten a test done for like dyslexia and that?" And I went, "No, my mum's tried, but no one would do it." And she went, I'm gonna get you a test." And then I was found out I was dyslexic.
Because where it obviously UK laws versus US are probably different. Because also even as a sub,
Yeah.
like I have training for what you're like for kids. Like if you notice this, you need to do this, like that whole thing. And one thing's with if you need to get like a kid tested for something like that, it has to be a collaborative effort between the teacher and the parent. And and the thing is though, in order to even for you to even get tested, like the teacher has to chart it for approximately like a year. Like it has to be like a couple of at least like the minimum of like 3 months and like 3 to 9 months, that depending on obviously like what you're getting tested for. So it's a long process, but once again, if you are both working together, then it's better, like it's more likely to succeed if both of you went on it. But a lot of it's either one side or the other though doesn't want to do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
Also, there's a lot of kids though that think that if like there's a problem with them, they feel like there's a stigma, but at least with the schools that I go to, there's not really so much of a stigma on the kids who have to be pulled out because English is not their first language, and so they need some extra help, or kids who need speech or something like that. Those kids don't have the stigma nearly as much as the kids who clearly they need help, and and the parents refuse to have them with any services. There's a huge difference.
So basically, what it looks like here is with those caffeine drinks and shit. It's like they're doing a similar thing where they're just like relocating the blame to something else. Like it's some of the things that have to do with parents and the way they raise their kids, or the way they don't raise their kids, or they don't give them attention at all. They're now blaming that on these high caffeine drinks, it seems. And then some of the teachers that are there's shitty teachers out there, a shitload of them, that also don't want to blame their own shitty way of teaching a class. Like they're really uninteractive, dry, boring presentation. And then kids who act a bit hyped, I guess, or something, have a bit too much energy. It's like, oh no, that's because of those high caffeine drinks. Obviously, it's not because my lesson is so boring that everyone wants to escape from here.
If it's a kid that's like really hyperactive, and like he hasn't had any energy drinks of that, there's only like one thing that I can think of, which is ADHD.
Or maybe just a kid with energy. Maybe just a...
Well, like, that's the reason why you guys are supposed to... I don't know about your guys' schools, but in the U.S., they're required to have recess and we really encourage them going to recess because a lot of kids have pent-up energy, and if they don't get that out, they cannot pay attention. So we really encourage them to run. It's like, guys, you need to get this all out.
In high school, we had, like, break, and then we had lunch.
We never had any breaks. We just had lunch.
We had like a break in the morning, which is basically you can have like a little snack and something, and then you had lunchtime, which you just. Normally that was like an hour.
You had only one break?
Huh?
We had like 2 breaks in a day. One in the morning, one in the afternoon, and then we had lunch in the middle.
It was like one.
Yeah.
One in the morning.
Weird.
Well, we had
I'm shocked with both of you guys.
Yeah,
that's not at all the U.S. at all.
That's
From
true.
middle school to high school, you don't have any breaks.
You also have full Wednesdays, don't you?
Yeah, we have full Wednesdays.
I'm just glad.
And you wonder why I struggled in school.
So we have the 3 breaks in a day, and we have a half day on Wednesday. So.
Oh, that's not fair. We don't have that in the U.S. at all. Like, so pretty much, it depends on your grade, but pretty much elementary kids, they are in class for about an hour, then they get about a 15-minute recess, and then they work up until lunch, and then they get 15 minutes to eat, and then 30 minutes for recess. And then, especially the younger grades, then they get an extra recess, which is another 15 minutes. But for the upper grades, they only get like lunch recess and maybe an afternoon recess. But middle school and high school, you are just back to back to back to back classes. For it depends, but it's about like an hour 20, and you've got like a 5-minute passing period because at least in my high school, when we used to have 15-minute passing periods, everyone was claiming that, well, the reason why there's so many fights is that people aren't rushing to get to class. And so there were literally like no real breaks. So you're just trying to, especially if you're on one side of the school and your class is on like out in the mobiles or somewhere, you barely make it on time if you're just running, like you're sprinting all the way to class. And then the only break you sort of get is lunch, and lunches it used to be 45 minutes, but now most middle school and high schools, it's closer to like half an hour to 40 minutes, and that's your only break, and you are 6 to 7 classes every day back to back to back. like that.
The thing about like running to classes, that was kind of like how it was at my school, in my high school. But I feel sorry for like when I was leaving high school, they were combining the high school and the middle school together.
Yeah.
So there were 2 more years added into this tiny little school. The corridors couldn't even fit the 3 years that were there.
That's the thing.
We had to rush to the classes.
From what I've heard, there's not too much of a difference between the shitty educational system in the US and in the UK. They sound similarly stupid because they have like the thing.
The accreditation is different. The process of accreditation is different. Such as you guys have like your high schools are more. You guys call them like colleges and stuff, and you're more towards what you're actually interested in. Whereas with the American school system, it's more at least with my high school, not all high schools are like this, but at least in my area, all the high schools push for you to take as many math, science classes, as much college placement classes as possible, in Spanish. Like they all push for that. And you're required to take a semester of an art class. It could be like music, it could be art, whatever. You're required to take 2 full years of PE and one of computer literacy and 1 semester of health. But then the rest of it, though, they just expect that you're going to take all these math and science and stuff like that. And like 3 years, we've got 4 years of English, 4 years of math, 4 years. It's just that like there's no, it's such a push for the hard academics and not so much for the electives, where people who are actually branching off might be interested in, because especially in my area, there's a huge push for the medical kids and for the engineering kids. Like those are the 2 big pushes. That's it.
Where like in my school, no, it's basically everywhere, because we have our GCSEs. I believe it's.
We don't have that type of shit anyway. We don't have standardized tests.
When you're
not at all.
in high school, when I was in high school specifically, in year 9. We would have to do IT, science, maths, English, PE, art, and French. I believe. I don't know. Wait, we got to choose what we did for year 9, which was I chose German, because on my way up to that, I had to learn French all the time, but then. When we went to year 10 and 11, we got to choose 3 electives. Is that what you call them? Which in my case was drama, art and design, and music. But then you had the subjects which you have to do, which was science, PE, maths, and English. Which I believe I was in the lower set for everything. And to this day, I still hate it, because I only passed 1 subject.
What'd you pass?
Music. Which, funny thing is, I did no coursework. I did nothing.
What?
I don't know how I passed it. So technically, I failed my entire high school. And it was only because they found out I was dyslexic at the last fucking moment, so I could not get the help I needed.
Oh, that's awful.
Literally, it was like about 2 months before my bloody exams, and I couldn't, because the problem I have, which I now know what it technically is, which is I cannot concentrate when I hear like people clicking pens.
Yeah, like, that's a big one for me.
Paper, coughing. I get distracted so easily, and I found out in class, specifically maths. She said that I could go out of the room with 2 other boys, who I know were one has ADHD and the other one had something else like me, and they took me out to another room, and I did my test. I gave it to her, my mock test, and she read it and went, "That's the best you've ever done. That's a passing grade." And if I got the help I needed, I would have passed. So I'm gonna go over there because I am like
shaking.
Yeah, I'm gonna break down again.
Aww.
Perry.
Give me a minute.
We need to give her whenever I see you in person, I'll give you a hug.
Much, pent up.
You know what that is, Barry? That's because of all of the caffeine that you drank.
By the way, so I looked it up for like how much like about because you guys said it was about 15 cans that you drink a day. I looked it up. So about 20 cans is about $7, so it's cheaper than cigarettes by half. So technically it's possible that he could have drunk all those every day, but just the idea of it, it is obviously it's not good for you, but the idea that's like the only thing that was wrong in his life was, well, he was just drinking all those cokes and that's the reason why his life ended. It's like, I'm gonna go on a limb and say it was more than that.
Yeah, definitely. But you know what the weird thing about this as well? It's also about caffeine. I get it when you talk about sugar because there's definitely a shitload of studies clearly stating how bad sugar is for you. Well, if you use too much sugar, because not enough sugar
Which I
is
do.
also bad for you. And a lot of us do use too much sugar, definitely. But there's no conclusive like study on caffeine anyway. It always, every time I see a study done about caffeine in particular, it goes one way or the other. It's like caffeine is actually very good for you. Caffeine is actually really bad for you. And then they also, all of these studies have like a shitload of numbers, and I don't really know where to go anymore. I don't know if caffeine is bad or good, or it's probably the same with everything. It's good in if you have a decent amount of it, but if you took too much of it, it probably has some bad ramifications. But we still
That's
don't know
more
what
along the lines of like diabetes and stuff, more than like obviously like it could have like it could exacerbate something, but I don't think that it could be a leading causation for something.
No.
Especially with if you're being that young and like if that's like the only factor, like once again, what drove you to drink that, and how that much of it?
It was
As
probably
one
some
as
kind
one
of comfort,
drink
yeah,
addict, like
it was
yeah.
probably some kind of comfort that he found in that, like for something that he was missing that could have been provided to him in another way. So that is probably true there. But we're just talking about this case a bit too much. Like, does anyone think that like putting an age on caffeinated drinks is silly? To me, it's pretty silly.
I personally hate coffee, so I like the idea of age gating it so less people get to drink it just because I'm spiteful. But no, even I can say, though, it's stupid.
Yeah, I mean, I hate the stink of cigarettes, and I can't fucking... If I go somewhere and there's cigarettes, I can't breathe the fucking air in. It's just like... It's almost like it's suffocating you when you get into that shit. But I still found it really stupid when they decided to say, like, yeah, you can't smoke in bars here.
I like that. Well, especially though, where I'm at, like, there's a ton of casinos where, like, you used to be, like, casinos have great restaurants. Like, what do you think they do with all the money? So they build out nice hotels, nice restaurants and stuff. Or like really nice shows that everyone wants to go see. And so you had to walk through it, and it's such a pain. Especially because I'm severely asthmatic, and my family has a history of smoking, and I just hate it so much because I have to take daily medication from it. And so it's like, I'm just very spiteful towards anyone who smokes because, like, are you kidding me? So I personally feel like, okay, you get to smoke while I'm, like, in Nevada, if you throw your cigarette out the window, because we are such a dry desert area, and if you throw your cigarette out the window that's lit, it's actually a felony in my state because we're so dry. We catch on fire all the time.
Yeah.
I'm just so spiteful. I feel like that should be like we're very heavy on regulation with cigarettes, but I feel like we're not doing enough.
Yeah. I mean,
just to be spiteful.
Is still a difference between this. Like,
yeah, and I recognize that, like you gotta understand that, like, you gotta understand for yourself though. Is there a point where you can say, yeah, it really isn't the number one thing, and I'm just at the point where I'm being spiteful because this is what I think, and I really just want to control everyone else with it because of my beliefs. Like, you have to get to that point where you're understanding that that's the way you are.
Yeah, that's a lot of the times, and I think that's probably what these teachers making these decisions were probably somewhat spiteful. But then again, there is a big problem with like some people who get into the fucking profession of teaching. There's like those fucking new age hippies that want to be a teacher because they want to change the world, and those fucking idiots exist as well.
Well, technically, I'm one of those because remember, I jumped from international affairs to education. because it's like because with with a lot of issues of international affairs, a lot of it can be remedied if you give education young, for like good education with policy of how to treat people equally. So that's the reason why I jumped. But there are people that like, I didn't realize until recent years that one of my teachers in high school was absolutely a Southern sympathizer, and I'm just like, I feel less bad about giving her a headache and writing in my textbook with Sharpie. Like, I feel less bad about that now. No, I like that. That was a whole thing because my school was very. The problem with when you're too patriotic is that, especially like my school was that they didn't want to admit that the U.S. did stuff wrong, or they were like, oh well, it's in the past. We're not like that now, and it's like. So then, like, you say, wow, those poor kids who got killed, and they're like, no, they're the enemy. And so she turned out to be one of those people that was pro-slavery. I found that out later on, and I'm like, I feel
weird.
less. She was like sympathy. Because there's this whole thing. I don't know if you heard about the Daughters of the Confederacy. Basically, there are a group of women who were like, we're gonna make the South look like the innocent poor people, and make the North Yankees look bad. And so then they spread all these lies about how no, slaves had a great time, and no, majority of the
Yes,
slave owners were black. And it was like on
unpaid
and on and
labor
on.
is
I'm like,
great.
shut yours. It's like, you're so off the wall. It's kind of like, well, it's the same with people who don't believe the Holocaust exists. It's like, clearly you've never been to a genocide site, honey. If you're gonna you're gonna go jump.
Why
Like, people who think that
why
only the
wouldn't
Jews
people want to be
thought of it.
slaves? Like, I mean, if you get food and shelter, why would you not want to work
Not.
for that?
That's not. Well,
I mean,
also the
it's
difference
not like
is
we want. It's not like we want to work so we can get money, so we can do things with it that we want to do, not just to get basic human rights provided to us.
which especially though in with America though, it was a lot of they could sell you or your family anytime they wanted. Like, if you had a kid, they could just sell the kid. And like, they could beat you, and then like, if you died on their property and because they were so abusive of you, there would be no consequences. Like, your life did not matter. Like, cattle were worth more than you as a human being.
Damn, we're getting extremely off track now, and we still have so much shit to go through. So
You know what happens whenever I come on to something
Yeah.
with that involves you. You know what I'm like.
Anyway, I have a next little thing that I found on Twitter, which sounded weird as fucking. You know how people have these buzzwords that a lot of time actually don't mean anything, or that just fill out a meaning that they say. So something from Quora, like it's a question thing, I guess, where people just send in their shit. Somebody said, I get into an argument with my friend because I reject evolution because it's heteronormative. Are scientists going to make evolution more inclusive, or will they replace it with something else?
What?
Yes, exactly. The thing is, what the hell is this? This is basically someone saying that
those aren't they're not. They have nothing to do with each other.
Yeah, I don't know what they're trying to say. Is it because they're saying that because it's in a lot of species that have two genders, that you need both genders to reproduce? Are they saying that the problem there that makes it heteronormative, that makes like heterosexuality seem as the norm, even though
that doesn't make any sense?
I mean, evolutionary speaking, it definitely is the norm, because like somebody who isn't attracted to the other sex and who doesn't make a kid with the other sex isn't gonna attribute anything to an evolutionary chain. So it doesn't make sense that it's, in their words, heteronormative. So it's pretty weird. Like, this just seems like, to me, this seems like somebody who's just wanting to troll. Somebody's like, haha, we have those really stupid people that just want to make everything in this world seem nice and like accessible to everyone, even though there's also reality, and you can't really shape reality and how stuff works. Like, science has notions of observing reality and then describing that in some kind of model, and evolution is basically, well, there are some models there, obviously. So it's pretty weird saying something like that needs to be inclusive, or that they need to replace it with something more inclusive. That's just basically denying reality. So that's just fucking weird, isn't it?
It reminds me of I don't know if you've heard about this. You probably have, knowing you. There was a time. I hope that it's still not going on, because if you are, you're stupid if you believe this. That where people there were a group of vegans who believed that because they were vegan, their pets had to be vegan too, and they ignored. I kid you not, and they ignored the fact that it's like, no, not all species are alike and have the same diets and nutritional needs and stuff, to where it's like, if you're feeding your carnivore just plain like they were feeding them like it was stuff like lettuce and rice and stuff like that, it's like you clearly do not know how the nutrition of a pet, of your dog or your cat. Like, they are carnivores. They might be omnivores. Like, I used to have a cat who ate peaches, but you know what? That cat still ate fish. And it's like,
one of the things that they kind of did right there is there's a decent nutritional value in like rice for dogs, but they need meat. They need meat. Some dogs need fish, weirdly enough, for their skin and shit. So
some of them do, and it's just, you have to, when you are when you're pushing your personal beliefs on an animal that can A, not choose for themselves, and B, their how they absorb stuff is different from you. And also, what we need to get as humans need to get out of meat.
I just realized
it's the same thing either.
I just realized how extremely ironic that is. There are people that want so badly to take care of animals that they abuse their own animals.
Yeah, do you get what I'm saying? And it's also like, Metal, you'll get a kick out of this. It's kind of like people who are all like, oh, I don't want to. They're all like, oh, I don't like animals eating animals, or, I don't want to eat animals. And then they kind of don't seem to realize that when you're in the ground and you're decomposing, or even if like your body's left out somewhere, animals will scavenge. Like, that's just what they do. Like there are going to be bugs that might eat you. If you die in your house and then your dog's like, oh, you're gone, dog might eat parts of you. This is an actual thing.
I got really curious at once as well, because we saw a badger coming out of the graveyard. So I was thinking, what the fuck do badgers do in graveyards? I hope they don't.
You know better.
What?
Yeah, you know what they're eating.
Yeah.
They can dig.
They can, definitely. Seen those claws on a fucking badger? Jeez.
I would not get into a fight with a badger, yeah.
What? We saw a badger. We were startled by a badger. We were walking down the street and I heard like... I was like, what the fuck? That sounds really loud.
Well, and also it depends on like... Do you guys have natural burial where you are at?
What?
Do you guys have natural burial? Like, where I'm at, like, majority of, like, when you're burying people, it's either you cremate and you put them in a wall or put them somewhere.
It was in England. It was on the Isle of Wight. So I think you guys do the natural burial as well, where you just put people in the coffins and shit.
Well, not coffin, just like in like something biodegradable, because even coffins though can be sealed up. And although, like, especially like we're in the US, like, people have a big thing where they either want to be cremated and they want to be spread over something that they shouldn't be, or they want to be buried in a casket that's inside a vault. But the vault only goes over the top of it. It doesn't go under the bottom of it, so stuff that's underground can absolutely crawl up and go through. So, well, same thing though with
I mean,
what's it called, mortuaries.
Even if it's wood, definitely, because with metal studies, he told me that there's like caskets made out of plywood as well, and I think a badger could probably get through plywood, definitely, if it's.
And also depends on how. It also depends though on how deep they dig it, because like, I don't know if you Trillimbo know this. I guarantee Metal probably knows about this. How you can stack bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a thing that, like, if you want to be buried on top of somebody else, like, that's, a thing that you can do. So they might even be more shallow than just the 6 feet, like the stereotypical 6 feet, because not all people are buried at that depth.
Yeah, I don't know.
Such as like in a natural disaster, it's not 6 feet.
I don't know if people here are buried at 6 feet, because there's a lot of swampy areas as well, and I don't think people in swampy areas are buried 6 foot deep.
Yeah, you can't.
Because of
are you below sea level?
Movements, I would say.
Are you guys below sea level?
Go? What?
Are you guys below sea level? Because like in New Orleans, and they're having to do this in parts of Alaska where they have to bury them above the ground.
No, there's some parts of the Netherlands and Belgium, like both of those places, are below sea level. So yes, some places are.
Okay, so yeah, you guys need to start burying your people above ground. It's gonna stink in summer, but at least you don't flood. You don't have bodies swimming down the river, as it were.
What's that over there? It's just a gasket. Never mind.
Hey, those things can pop up open. Not that hard.
Oh fuck! I can imagine. Like, it was out at night, so and I was just trying to imagine if I saw the badger with like a rotting hand in its mouth, like. Oh shit!
Oh, that reminds me of a story.
Oh shit!
That's one of the one of the morticians teaching us told us about how when someone jumps underneath a train,
yeah,
we're supposed to go collect the different body parts and shit.
Easter egg hunting.
Yeah. He said it takes a long time because, well, a train goes really fast and it obviously doesn't suddenly stop right after it hits the body.
Yeah. It's gonna drag it a ways and also get like underneath the train as well as in the tracks as well. Yeah.
But there's one upside.
Shut up.
Okay.
I'm still talking. My story isn't done.
Yeah.
Anyway, he said that's obviously really important that you make sure you got everything, because, and I quote, you wouldn't want your kid or your dog coming home with an arm or.
Yeah.
It's like you look through the window and you see your kid waving at you, and then you just go back to cooking, and then you're like,
wait a minute.
That's not his arm!
The kid picked up an extra friend. Picked up a new toy.
But you know what? There's one upside, though, to being the people hit by a train. Because of the weight, like the pressure and the heat generated by the metal. Basically, the friction with the other metal. Basically, people get cut in half by the tracks and the train. They're basically, the wounds are immediately like, what is it? Would you say solderized or something? It's just like basically it's closed immediately. The wound is closed off immediately.
I don't think that's how it works.
No, that's not really
how it works. Yeah.
That's what somebody told me who worked at the trains, basically. They said that somebody would have found on the tracks, because they had to like apply first, basically like they were there first on the scene, because it happened close to like where they were working on the tracks, and the person they found wasn't bleeding at all. Like, it just had his both legs cut off, but he wasn't bleeding at all.
I know that you can also. I know that you can also, when someone jumps underneath a train, you have a chance of just finding skin.
Yeah.
Without anything underneath it, or. No, I'm just imagining like the front of somebody's body, like the front skin, just like being.
Yeah, you just see like someone laying on the ground, and you turn it around, and it's like empty inside, like the face.
What the fuck?
Like they got sucked out. Yeah.
Are you sure that was a train or aliens? I mean, it sounds spooky.
Look underneath the train; it'll tell you everything.
Yes, anyway. Next time you see a train, look underneath it.
That's the new version of Go Play in Traffic. Go play on train tracks.
Yeah, no. You're on the side trying to look underneath it with a flashlight. Now you gotta find, is there a body under there? You gotta find out before it starts going again.
Oh yeah, that reminds me of some kid I saw who was at the train station, and he was just standing there with his backpack, and he was, I think, looking at something, and then he turned to look at something else, and his backpack fell, and there was a train at the platform, so it fell between the platform and the train, and the kid was like, when he looked back, he was like, fuck.
Imagine being that poor kid.
Yeah, fuck.
Didn't I tell you that I saw something similar? I think a guy he just got off the train, and a guy, I don't know what he was doing. He tried to put his backpack on his back, or he tried to take it off, and then he dropped it, and it fell, but like also beneath the platform and the train, like between it.
Yeah.
And he was just like, "Oh shit."
I also saw somebody put their he was putting bags on the train because he had like 2 or 3 bags, and he put like 2 bags on the train, and the train doors closed, and he was like knocking, and the conductor was just like, the train's gonna leave, and the train just fucking left, and the guy was standing there with like his last bag, and he was like, "Fuck me, my bags are on the train." This poor guy, but
You gotta be fast.
Oh, that was funny. So bad for the person, but it was just too damn funny. Anyway, we have something else to discuss. Oh shit. I fucked up there. We have articles to read so far into this fucking podcast. Anyway, this one's short. Police officer accidentally handcuffs himself to railings. His colleagues were quick to step in, take pictures, and post them to social media. Definitely. See, the picture itself is pretty funny. To me, it just looks like he accidentally leant into the railing while doing something, and the handcuff spun around too far and got stuck because of that. It snapped into the railing, and that made it like spin around, so fast enough for it to snap back into place.
Is this like in England? Because it says Exeter.
Yeah.
Exeter? Okay.
That's why the police looks yellow and blue at the same time, like where they have the yellow and the white.
Yeah,
and
that's
blue
why I was wondering, because I wonder though, like within the US, like there are certain situations though where like if you're on the job and you're posting stuff on social media of your colleague, like that could be grounds for like being dismissed because it's considered unprofessional. So I was gonna say that was happening in the US. They might get in trouble for that.
Professionality is a weird thing. Like people just have weird, outdated standards when it comes to what's professional and not. It's just. But
some of it makes sense, at least in the teaching profession. Like there's kids who want to do like Instagram and stuff like that in class. Like they want to Snapchat or something like that, and it's like, no, seriously, you're not supposed to do it in class because there's a lot of people who do not consent to this. And also, if it looks like the teacher let you goof off of your phone in class, the teacher is going to get in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I mean,
it's gonna look like the teacher is being lazy, so that's why.
Yeah, I mean, it's
also parents complain about everything. So.
Yeah, that makes sense. So anyway, a police officer has been left red-faced after accidentally handcuffing himself to railings in Exeter.
Oh, that's racist. What do Indians have to do with this?
Oh, whoa.
Wait,
it's
what?
Native Americans.
Oh,
a special constable with the British Transport Police left himself. Transport Police? Wait, why is there a difference there? Anyway, he left himself locked to the rails at the Exeter Central train station. Now it says rails. It sounds like he handcuffed himself to the train tracks. Oh shit!
What a tie-in!
A skin bag. Shit.
You know what would be fun?
Metal's on the way.
You know what's kind of funny to imagine?
What?
With this picture. Someone stealing something right in front of the police officer and then running away.
That's like such a comedy move. Yeah.
Can you imagine somebody just stealing his gun or something and then running off?
Do British police have guns? Typically, beat cops have guns on them?
No, because our police officers have a pistol on them.
Okay, because obviously the US does, but...
And when you go to Brussels, you just see soldiers walking around with machine guns.
Machine guns, yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, actually, they're just nice.
Actually.
So, who gives a fuck? What they did is shot a terrorist in the face, so that's really good. So, anyways...
Oh, that's right, I forgot you guys had that, yeah.
Yeah, there was a failed attack where somebody just cinched the ceiling of the central station. And all they had to do to fix his explosive shit that didn't go off properly is just paint the walls, the ceiling white again, because it was just a bit brownish. It was
just an inconvenience, and they updated it.
The guy just came in next day and it was like, oh, I have to paint this fucking ceiling. That's basically what happened. That was the only actual result.
Better-
And the guy
bet-
getting shot in the face himself.
I better get paid overtime for this.
Anyway, so we know that the colleagues just tweeted the shit out, and the incident happened on a Tuesday, apparently.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
So, the British Transport Police in Devon, isn't that the place where people say that like a lot of dumb people come from? I don't even know.
I
This
don't
thing's
know.
called Devon Live. It's
Well,
like
this I was about to say that's what this is from. Yeah.
I've heard a lot of bad stuff about the place of Devon, so I don't know if that's actually just people saying
Ask
bad
Perry,
stuff
she
about
should
it, or
know.
if it's actually Perry. Is Devon in England a shitty place? She fell asleep. I can't really ask her
Aw.
anymore. Anyway, one of our BTSP specials managed to cuff himself to the rails at Exeter Central. Him fumbling for keys gave us just enough time to ensure we got a quick snap. That's basically what the other police officer said there. And they used the same picture 3 times in this fucking article.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, they have so many ads in between too,
Also,
to
it
where
says-
it's messed up the formatting.
That was
In the
basically
article, it says the Twitter post has been liked more than 200 times, but by now you see that it's 550 likes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So it is.
But it didn't say what led up to it though. It didn't say like what
No.
led up. Like, was he actually trying to apprehend somebody? Was
That's-
there just it got caught? Like, did he
No,
put
no.
Did when he put his belt on? Like, did he
Well,
not
did he,
like
try to,
make sure
did
they
he,
were
try to
closed
catch
before it?
Harry Houdini or something? Like, we're gonna catch you,
That'd
Mr.
be pretty
Houdini.
funny.
Are you sure
No,
about that?
Try to reach me. Now, I think it's safe to say that he wasn't apprehending someone because they were
Himself.
colleagues and they decided to take a picture instead.
I mean, he was apprehending himself, it seems.
Maybe
Uh.
he thought maybe the rails were drunk.
We're coming to get you. We heard that there was a man on the tracks who was looking underneath the
Maybe,
trains.
maybe somebody smashed their face on the railings and died, and now he's arresting them for murder. I mean, it could just be the case.
Oh, by the way, Brom.
Yeah. You just used my real name as well. Great job.
Yeah.
I also like that there's tape on the stairs that says "Please take care."
Yeah.
Like that's repeated around.
Anyway, Trollumbo.
Yeah.
We have to hurry with buying something
What?
because the Combi XL tickets for Grasspop are sold out of 85% already.
Fuck me.
You guys are already you're discussing a shopping trip during the show. That's great.
Anyway, let's.
Where are you
let's-
guys going?
It's a festival.
Let's just
Oh, okay.
continue. Fuck it.
Are you guys sure you don't want to take a break and like go? One of you go purchase it while the rest of us go ahead.
No, it's not like it's gonna go that fast. It's not gonna go like it's gonna go today. But it's
Okay,
weird that
so
it's
at
high.
this time it
So-
is 3:11 p.m. Let's see how fast those tickets sell out.
Yeah, well, they have been on sale for like months, so it's not.
Oh,
like they-
okay.
Yeah, and they're now at 85%, so it's not like it goes that's extremely fast. Talking about stuff that goes fast, I don't think people on Meth go that fast, but this was a really shitty segue. So there's a woman that tries to trick authorities with prescription for medical meth.
Oh, cool. Can I read it?
Yeah, it's apparently a thing. She looks like she takes meth, though, if you see the picture.
She looks like she's annoyed that you would even question it.
Yeah, it's like,
What do you think?
What do you know?
what do
Of
you know
course
about
it's
medical
prescription.
stuff? Okay.
Okay then. In Albuquerque.
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 Why is it such a weird name?
What does the NM stand for?
New Mexico.
New Mexico.
Oh!
That's why I was telling you guys. Yeah.
Everyone's heard of medical marijuana, but one
What's that?
Albuquerque woman claims she had a prescription for medical meth.
Okay.
Authorities didn't buy it. Wait, so she
Okay.
was a dealer?
Well, we're about to find out. Keep reading.
Ginger Sharp.
That's a great name.
I don't.
Well, she's not really
She-
a ginger, so it's a bit.
And she's not really clearly not sharp.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Miss
Anyway, she was arrested for a probation violation after her parole officer said she tested positive for the drug.
Oh,
However,
so she's already a repeat offender. Okay.
according to court documents, Sharp said she was prescribed the meth by a doctor in Farmington. Farmington?
Farming? Why is it a place name?
Uh, it's like a meth farm.
That's
But that's not how meth's made. It's not made on. Anyway.
that sounds
They
as silly
grow
as
it
the
in the
last name
ground.
from the last fucking video, like Semenov. There's a fucking guy named
Anyway.
Semenov.
Okay, anyway, keep
She even
continuing.
had a prescription bottle with a label for meth tablets.
Definitely makes sense.
That bottle, it turns out, was an elaborate fake.
Really?
Sharp is being charged with forgery and identity theft.
Forgery? Like, how can you?
Yeah, because she
forge
was
something?
making up. She was making up. Yeah, she was making up. Oh yeah, this is a prescription. She probably also gave like a fake doctor name or something.
I mean, yeah, it kind of sounds silly as well if you say you forging something that doesn't even exist in reality. Like,
But my real question though is, how many people did she actually trick with this? Because clearly, if she's got a parole officer, depending on obviously what she's been booked for before, he or she are probably used to her pulling these kind of shenanigans. And so, like, it's clearly, like, she must have gone somewhere, done something, and gotten away with it enough times to where people are like, oh, I didn't know that was a thing.
How does
Okay.
it
Medical marijuana? Well, there's also medical meth. And they're like,
can you
oh, I
imagine?
didn't know that. You know that she totally did that for, like, 20 different people.
Yeah, but
They
can
totally
you
bought it. And
imagine
then
her
her
walking into like a
corrections officer was so
pharmacy or
annoyed.
something, and I'm being like, yeah, I'm here for my prescription for medical meth. Oh, I don't have any on hand. I guess I'll make some. Come back in a week. What the fuck? Like, how did she get it? Did she get it from like meth dealers on the street or something? And then says like,
No, a
This is a pretty fancy
doctor in
operation.
Farmington.
oh yeah, from a doctor in Farmington. Yeah.
They actually had a big bust in my state recently of, get this. Okay, so there was this doctor that was prescribing basically, I think it was methamphetamines, stuff like that he was prescribing so that people could make like meth and stuff like that. But then his main person who was dealing it was the son of like this really well-known car store. I'm blanking what it's called. Basically like where you can go buy cars, obviously.
He was
I
the
can't
son
speak
of
English.
a car store.
Yeah, he was the son of the dude who runs like this a dealership. That I'm blanking. Okay. Yeah, basically the son of this guy at this really well-known dealership.
Was dealing.
And so, and also like the people who were, I'll send this to you guys so you can read this on your off time and laugh at it. But basically though, they'd been prescribing it for people, like he was a legitimate doctor, but then he also did like his side with dealing. And then the dude at the dealership would then get other people at the dealership to go dealing as well.
The fuck?
I kid you not.
Oh, I see what the next article is.
Yeah. So, this could have psychedelic effects as well, maybe. But like mushrooms, tripping on mushrooms, because a dad eats an entire bowl of cereal that expired in 1997 despite his wife's warning. Okay.
Oh, it's in Los Angeles.
Yeah, so it's basically, yeah, fucking hell.
Imagine not cleaning out your stupid cabinets that long.
Yeah, why would have kept it for 21 years? Even after it expires. How long does that shit stay good anyway? Because there's a lot of shit.
Cereal stays good for a long time, but 20 years, like...
No, but it's like it expired 20 years ago, so 21 years ago. So it's even older than that.
It's not like sugar where you can keep that in there for a couple decades and it'll be fine.
So let's see what
I'm
fucking
gonna read
happens.
it because I can.
Because you
Walmart shoppers may want to take a closer look at their groceries' expiration dates after a Colorado family accidentally bought a box of cereal
What the fuck?
which expired
okay, so
21 years ago.
How is that still in the fucking store?
Oh, okay, that makes more sense. Okay, so it was at the store. Why would you even have that still
It still doesn't even
available
make
for
any
stock?
sense in the
Oh,
store.
I have a theory.
What?
Another customer came in with that box.
And
I
traded
put
it? With the next...
No,
Did like
No.
an exchange or something?
no,
Yeah.
no, just put it down in the fucking with the cereal.
That's actually a
But
funny
packaging
theory.
changes.
Because, like, let's be honest, nobody checks. Well, that packaging must have been off. If it's expired 21
Okay,
years
now
ago.
now you all have me paranoid. I would need to check my cereal real quick to
I mean,
see if
it's
out of date.
It's Quaker though. Like they have really old looking fucking.
Well, to be fair
packaging
though,
anyway.
Quaker though, like those Quaker oatmeal stuff do last for like a obscene amount of time. To be fair.
But not. I mean, they're
Not 20 years, obviously, but
No,
you
no,
know what I
no,
mean? Like,
but-
you wouldn't check the dates on that.
no, but they're really fucking old.
It's not even good.
Do you guys really check the dates on your cereal? Let me ask that right now.
I don't really
Okay.
eat cereals now.
According to... Okay, so I've got 2 boxes of cereal, and both of them expire next year. And I just bought them last week, so...
So they
Okay.
last for a year, so they're like 22
Yeah,
years
about
old
a year.
now.
Or like,
Fucking hell.
because it's March now, and that both of the dates were in January, so about like 9 months.
Yeah.
The Carell's family reportedly bought a decades-old box of Quaker, 100% natural granola cereal at a Walmart in Littleton on March 5th. Wow. Unfortunately, when the family sat down for breakfast, they found out their meal was stale. I just started eating and thinking, it just tastes funny. It must be okay.
Well, at least he lived. Did you guys see the picture of the
Can
look
you-
on his face, though? He's just like...
The fuck is this shit?
Yeah, as though he didn't keep eating it.
You said like he survived. Can you imagine? Like at the end of this article, he died shortly after this interview.
Rest in peace.
He got hit by a train and his skin came off.
But imagine though, like what left like his death certificate, because they'd have to write it down, and it's like how cause of death.
Expired
20-year-old
cereal.
cereal.
He died as he lived.
Even though his
eating
wife told him don't.
21-year-old cereal.
Although
Although that'd be a
Carell's,
great obituary. That would be a great obituary.
Okay, just continue reading it.
Sorry.
although Carell's wife warned him to stop eating the stale food, he reportedly ate an entire bowl before checking the box's expiration date. It turns out the cereal expired on February 22nd, 1997. I was not born yet, father Layla Carell said. I'm only 11. Okay, cool. He just grabbed this off the shelf and 21 years old. Josiah?
Josiah. It's
Josiah.
a biblical name.
I mean, let's be honest. Like this box of like Quaker's oatmeal, a pedophile wouldn't even touch this. It's too old.
It's too old.
According to WTOL, the family plans to return the box to Walmart.
I want to see that return policy. I really want to see it.
A company spokesperson says Walmart is looking into how such an old box found its way into the Littleton store. Luckily, Mr. Carell says he feels fine after eating the ancient oats.
Can you imagine, like a year from now? Yes, Mr. Carlson, I have some bad news for you. You have stomach cancer. How did this happen? Well, we have one theory. Remember this news article? Oh shit! I don't
Yeah,
know.
you should-
It's probably
should
not
have-
good.
You should have eaten it all instead of returning it.
I mean, don't you think that he at least got like some really like ass-burning diarrhea? It was like on the toilet going like ah, and it was like his ass was on fire or something.
I don't know.
mean,
I
it
don't
seemed
even know what that would even do to you. Like, clearly, like you'd have a stomach ache, but like, man,
It would
that didn't mess with you.
Well,
Probably
they
wouldn't
only
come out nice either.
mentioned. Yeah, they only mentioned in the article that it tastes stale. Like,
Yeah, that was the only thing.
But then he kept going, and he didn't go, huh? How old is this? Like he finished a whole bowl, then he looked.
He was like, yeah, it is.
If there was something that was an off taste to me, I'd look immediately, not after I ate a whole serving of it. Like,
I just imagine this guy like the next day pouring some like moldy orange juice and then like drinking the entire glass and being like, huh? And just like
imagine
pours
being
another
married to
glass,
him.
drinks it, it's like, ah, it's moldy. Like, I don't know. This is just.
Or he would keep drinking it if he did what he did with the cereal.
Yes. Fucking hell. He would just think instead of mold in the he would just think that it's pulp in there in the fucking orange juice. Fuck me. Anyway.
Oh, I love the next paragraph.
Wait, there's
Wait,
next
what?
paragraph?
The last one.
Wait, what?
We already read the last one.
Oh, okay. I just got to that one and I just was cracking up. Just the idea of them having to launch an investigation over this.
Now I just imagine some fucker like dressed up as Sherlock Holmes being there like, let's get right into it, and it's like with his fucking looking glass.
Also, what if this is like an epidemic where like this was like a person who just like did that for like they were cleaning out their stores, or like people who try to do like those ridiculous return policies where they're like, oh no, this is a box of cereal I bought, and oh I just want the discount, and they kept like the good cereal, and then they returned like this old expired cereal. Yeah.
It's like some fucker like bought like 20 years ago. He bought like 20 packs of like this Quaker shit, like the oatmeal whatever, fucking honey and raisin fucking cereal shit, and he bought like 20 boxes of it, and now he bought like some more boxes like from separate store branches, and he like returned them, but instead of returning the actual ones, he returned the old ones, and then they put them on the shelves again. I was like, yeah.
There are better ways to commit fraud, you know.
That one's a really long planned one, though.
Like those people who decide to jump in front of cars.
Yeah. That's a 50-50 chance that you're actually going to get money out of it.
They could try jumping in front of trains.
But then they also have to be lucky that
their skin comes off.
What? No, not talking about the trains. The people who jump on their on the cars for insurance shit.
Yeah.
They also have to be lucky that the car doesn't have a dash cam, because otherwise you can clearly see them appear like.
Also, they would have to also be really. You really don't know your drivers. Because, like, in my area, we have a huge problem with hit-and-run drivers. Where, like, they'll just hit somebody and then they'll just drive off. And then they're like, oh, well. And so, you know, if you got a hit-and-run driver who's like, you're not getting money out of it anyway. You're just going to be dead on the ground.
Yeah, that's seems like a pretty big...
You're really putting a lot of faith that driver will stop for you.
Yeah. Anyway, we still have 3 articles to go, so I do want to move on a bit here. With an article titled 14-year-old dressed up as California deputy. Then he began responding to crimes. Video shows. So there's a video fucking detailing this shit as well. Is that the video up there? Shit.
Yeah. It's an minute 40.
Let's just see what happens here.
Is it a raw footage?
I don't
it
think
is.
There's any sound. I think this is raw footage. Yeah.
Wait, are you?
A 14-year-old boy in Victorville, California, has been arrested for impersonating a California deputy while dressed as a deputy. The boy made home visits and fake traffic stops in his grandfather's car that he placed red and blue emergency lights on. San Bernardino County Sheriff.
Fucking hell! You seem to have like an entire.
It's clearly an SUV. It's clearly because look at the sides.
They had like a shitload of stuff, it seems. The fuck?
What is he? He's got a wig. He's got a wig.
Yeah, what's the wig for?
Wait, I want to go back to the wig. Why does he have? I understand the pistols and stuff like that, but the wig is the thing that I was not expecting.
Did he have a fake mustache as well?
Why does he have? Why does he have money?
Where's his fake mustache? Is still my question.
He's only got.
What does the money have to do with acting as a sheriff?
I don't get it. Look how many radios he has. Cops only. He clearly hasn't been around an actual cop to know how many they actually have.
Anyway, that's fucking weird.
Where the fuck does he keep his machine gun?
It's just a great
on that
way
belt.
to celebrate all the women that...
Oh look, there's an extra belt on the side.
Anyway.
I'm gonna read this again because you guys talked the whole first hour and I didn't really say anything.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah. Permission granted, sir.
Why is the first sentence? He's not even old enough to have a driver's license.
Because he isn't. See?
Yeah,
No
but-
way. What a shock.
This article was written by Captain Obvious.
No, by
Obviously.
Jared Gilmore.
That's probably a ghostwriter.
Anyway. But that didn't stop a 14-year-old boy in Victorville, California, from dressing up in a San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department uniform, taking his grandfather's car, and putting red and blue emergency lights on it this week. Police said. The boy then started tormenting Southern Californians with fake traffic stops and home visits, according to Victorville police.
I know what it is. He just watched too much fake cop. That's basically what happened here. He thought he was gonna get some if he dressed up as a cop. Oh,
I thought you were talking. I first thought you were gonna mention like what's it called again? Oh, the thing with the bad boys.
Fucking hell, what's that movie called?
Or like, or
It's called Bad Boys.
Bad
The movie's
Boys,
called
yeah.
Bad Boys.
no, not
Yes.
the movie. Not talking about the movie. Talking about the cop TV show.
Oh,
Oh,
Cops.
Is it just
Cops,
cops?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was just
Cool.
called Cops.
Just cops. Okay.
Yeah.
The Brazzers. I mean the brazen and illegal role playing. Started to catch up with the teen on March 5th when the boy pulled into the driveway of home in his white Ford Explorer, emergency lights on, and went to the front door saying he was there to investigate a domestic disturbance, surveillance video shows.
Okay.
Well, but the video didn't have sound.
I mean, the video didn't show much about it. It just
Yeah, but it showed
somebody in
him
the car.
clearly coming up there, and I love my favorite thing though is that you look on like the sides, it doesn't have any markers that it's like a police car. Even like the ones that they have that are supposed to look like, oh, it's just a regular car. It still has a very different body to it.
Yeah. I mean, don't those normally have like darker tinted windows as well?
Some of them do, but there's some of them though, that they legitimately want to look like, oh, it's just a regular car, or no, this is just a policeman who is like a investigator who has the regular car, but they also have the siren. Like those are not. They don't look anything like that.
Yeah. So it just, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah,
What?
the residents told him no one had called the police. Teen then tried opening their door,
What the
police
fuck?
said, but found that the residents had already locked it. But in the
So
video,
they locked him out.
but in the video, everyone was outside already.
But are you sure it's them or not? After they got the police
Yeah,
called.
maybe that's another thing where he pulled up to someone else's driveway.
Right.
Oh, okay. Explain to the next sentence.
After a short exchange with the homeowner in the driveway, the teen left. And then the homeowner called police to report a suspicious incident.
I mean, it's pretty suspicious.
Yeah.
The very next day, authorities spotted a vehicle that matched the description the homeowner had given them. The vehicle had no license plates, police said.
Police cars also just have like license plates anyway.
They do. They all have license plates, and also like there's an indicator with if you're like a police or sort of like some sort of emergency services. It has letters on the side. At least in my state, we do, where like it clearly differentiates it that this is for law enforcement.
Yeah, but this is also California.
Yeah, I don't know what California does.
So
No, I've been to California many times, but yeah.
yeah, you didn't
Yeah.
really see cop cars there if they have the same.
No, I did, but I
distinctions.
just was like, oh, there's a car. Like I don't look at plates because California's plates versus my state's plates, we don't have nearly as like they've got a ridiculous amount of numbers on theirs. Like it looks like a mess. So
Yeah.
there, it's white with a blue signature and it just looks boring and a mess. It's not a fun license plate to look at.
Yeah. Okay. That's...
Okay, a sergeant stopped the vehicle March 6th and confirmed it was the same teen. When authorities searched the boy's home, they uncovered all the props he'd been using, including the sheriff's deputy uniform and counterfeit money. Simulation simulation firearms, ballistic vests, and other law enforcement-related items. So wait, what was the money for?
He didn't. That's the thing. They never pointed out what he ever did with the counterfeit money.
Yeah.
Maybe it's still coming up? I don't know.
I don't know.
Police also realized the teen had a busy night before he was pulled over. He had pulled over a woman in a fake traffic stop and asked for ID.
Yeah.
The teen let her off with a warning.
Okay.
Oh, that's good to know. During a separate incident that day, the juvenile turned on his emergency lights, drawing a 16-year-old out of a home. The dressed-up teen told the 16-year-old he was responding to a domestic disturbance call. But when the imposter was told no one had made such a call, he left the scene, police said. The suspect was arrested and booked at High Desert Juvenile Detention Center. He was already on probation at the time of his arrest. What?
Okay, so this is not his first round. Okay.
He had done some shit before.
Police said they're still looking for other potential victims.
Okay.
Right.
That's weird. What the fuck was
A lot of
that
people
shit?
wouldn't report it. Yeah.
What the fuck?
How the fuck do you
He's
not...
also lucky he didn't get shot.
But he must have seemed pretty old for a 14-year because like it's a fucking 14-year-old. They look like stupid fucking kids most of the times.
He looks like he must have, like, if you're looking at, like, the images of him, like, he's clearly a small kid, but, like, he looks like he's bulky enough to pass it off.
Yeah, I guess it's something like that. Maybe
Kind
the
of
wig
like, you know,
helped-
like,
the wig helped it.
yeah, we can't, yeah, right, we can't see his face close enough to know that he might not have his own hair, yeah.
Yeah, maybe he had a fake mustache as well. That always works.
Always works.
It works. Fucking hell. Anyway, we have one more article before we get to the really stupid article that Onyx is gonna read.
Wait, which one am I reading? Are you making me read the dolphin one or the YouTube one?
The YouTube.
Oh, the one that dropped my IQ. Thanks.
Yeah, the
Okay.
mind-numbing one.
I'm a good person. I don't deserve this.
Can I just read the article title because this one's good.
Yeah.
The Shape of Water would have been less popular if she fucked a dolphin, reports guy who once fucked a dolphin.
Now that's some authority right there.
Well, that guy clearly knows what he's talking about.
How the fuck do you even fuck a dolphin?
He sounds like he reminds me of like
What do you mean? How do you
cannibals
fucking
who
dolphin?
get
He was like
he reminds me of
dolphin
like
or
cannibals
mammal?
who get indignant
Yeah.
when you imply that they're being stupid. It's like
Is it-
no, it's actually a good thing if you ate a person, you'd know that.
You do know that dolphins try to also fuck in different positions.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Rom.
I forgot about that.
They're mean animals though.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I wouldn't go near a dolphin. Are you kidding
Yeah,
me?
they're also rapists.
Maybe the guy was like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah,
blow me
we've
with
been
your
over that
blowhole."
though. But apparently this guy was apparently down for it. So what does he have
Yeah.
to say?
So it was
Yeah.
consensual dolphin fucking.
Why the fuck does the subtext of the image say "hey"? Just "hey."
That's what the dolphin
That's
says.
what the dolphin said to him. That was enough to get him
That's the
aroused.
dolphin's pickup line, yeah.
Hey,
Anyway, among the many conversation points circling Guillermo del Toro's recent Best Picture winner, The Shape of Water, one of the most prominent was its sexual aspect, and specifically the physical relationship between Sally Hawkins, Elisa, and the acid played by Doug Jones. What? I haven't seen the movie.
Just keep
so-
going. I know I haven't either, so keep going.
yeah.
Much ink has been spilled in recent months about the movie's sexuality, including and especially Del Toro and his team's efforts to craft a gill man with a convincingly attractive silhouette.
I mean, there's people
Right.
that fuck anything that's a humanoid, I guess. So
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
we know that because of people who are into furries. So
yeah, there's hentai and shit. So
yep. So
people
I'm
fuck weird
not
stuff in
surprised.
hentai. There's
Very
probably also
little of
people
that.
who want to fuck tentacle monsters in real life. So that shit probably exists.
Which why? Like
don't know.
anyway.
I think you can ask that about a lot of shit.
Yeah.
True.
Why?
I mean, that's
Very.
if you would do that, you would just walk around this world and just be like everything you see, like, why?
You'll. You can just write a philosophy book just titled "Why,"
Yeah, there's like
and then just a lot of different situations. Just it always ends with, "But why?"
That's how I'm gonna end one of my. I'm gonna write a book, and that's how it's gonna end. Just like, they didn't have to do this, but they chose to. But why? Just gonna talk about how stupid stuff is.
Anyway.
And very little of that writing, though, has come from the perspective of someone who's already inherently attracted to marine life. Hence the fascination with which we greeted this piece from the Huffington Post, who recently interviewed self-described zoophile Malcolm Brenner, famous online for his 2010 book Wet Goddess. In which he describes the time he had sexual intercourse with a dolphin named Dolly in the 1970s and that his
So he's still going on about his old flame. Okay.
wet goddess. Brother, who carefully distinguishes himself from someone with an interest in bestiality,
What? No,
emphasizing
you're the
emphasizing the emotional connection he seeks with non-human companions, like the film overall, but also criticized it as a fantasy, speaking specifically about the film's sex scene.
Oh, this could be awful.
Oh no, he said, given the course of the development of their relationship, it seems sort of natural. Although I must say I find the dolphin a lot more sexy than the thing was. Then again, I'm not Eliza. Maybe you have to take it where you can get it. As long as apparently the object of your desire is a featherless biped.
Biped, yeah, on 2 feet.
We're not
Featherless biped, yeah.
We're not going to let a few gills or scales stand in the way of true romance. Seems to be Hollywood's dictum. Quadrupeds? No. Animals with flukes? No. But if it looks like a man? Later he added, I'm sure a lot of the good liberals who criticized me for making love with a dolphin loved this film because the hero was a featherless biped. If the asset had been a dolphin, it wouldn't have been anywhere near as popular.
Well, you're right.
It is unsurprisingly a decidedly weird and amazing interview. Kudos to Fadeberg for beating the rest of us to this particular scoop.
How do you even get in contact to have that interview?
You just meet up at the fucking dolphin compound.
Also, he uses his own name. He's like, ah, yes, that one love affair I had with a dolphin 40 years ago. I still remember her fondly.
I see two weird stuff when I just scroll down a bit. First, the first sentence from the first comment. This is classic furry passive-aggressive speciesism. And then under that, an article, Nicolas Cage is finally getting to play Superman.
His dream role.
I think I found the guy because I looked up this name and then I saw somebody in the water in a wetsuit getting kissed by a dolphin. So that's probably the guy.
No way.
Is he older? Older looking dude? Because he said it was back in the 1970s when he had this, when he was going after the dolphin.
Pictures. There's even a picture that looks like
I
it's
found the
from
fucking. He has a Wikipedia page.
I'm not looking that up. I'm
A
not looking that up.
writer. Malcolm J. Brenner is an American author, journalist, and zoophile.
Call it like it is. He's into bestiality. Let's call it like it is.
It's a dolphin fucker.
He gets turned on by animals. Let's call it like it is.
Notable works, Wet Goddess.
Notable works, fucking a
This is
dolphin.
giving me a headache. Like, just It's so dumb.
With what in an article in the Huffington Post, brother said, I wrote this book for dolphins because we are mistreating these animals by
No.
keeping them in captivity.
Oh shit!
You
I
wrote
fucked
a
up
book for
badly.
dolphins?
I fucked
How
up
the fuck are
badly.
they gonna read it?
Well, that's my question.
Brennan claims to have had sex with a female dolphin in the 1970s and is a zoophile activist. That's the
Oh.
thing.
Apparently.
I hate that you guys, whenever I talk with you guys about this sort of stupid thing, I always find out stuff I don't want to know. Like this. I didn't know that there were activists for it. Like, I had assumed, but people who full on, like, are, like, proud of themselves for it. I hate you both to that every time. I come onto some stupid show you guys do, I always find out something stupid like this.
So in 2003, there was an 2013, sorry, there was an article, Zoophiles protest against German bestiality ban.
Oh, for Pete's sake.
Why?
Why are
Why
you
is
guys like this?
I don't know.
I don't know
because
about you guys. I don't know about you guys, but I think, at least in my country, Congress needs to drop all legislation, all concerns about homosexuality. Like, no. We
Oh,
have something bigger to tackle, folks.
An article from The Guardian from last year, bestiality, which animals are most at risk?
Don't read it. Don't read it. I don't want to hear this.
Is it a hamster?
A brothel for zoophiles to open in Denmark?
No.
Why is there so much fucking animal fucking going on in the world?
Go to church. Like, disgusting.
I mean, I'm not a religious person, but some people should find Jesus insane.
That's what I'm saying. Like, Jesus died because you guys want to have sex with animals. How tragic. Now, this is what, when I'm at church on Sunday and on Wednesday, that's all I'm going to think about is you need to pray for people like this.
You gotta think about people having sex with animals.
I'm going to think about the fact that they're apparently activists. Who
There's
are,
something
who
completely
think that
horribly
it's
wrong
okay.
now.
What?
I fucked up the chat and I fucked up the stream a bit.
Oh,
Because
no.
I had to open the chat because I have to fucking get the article back because I accidentally clicked close to the article about the noted political thinker that we're gonna read in a few. I just have to see if I can actually see it if I just remove this shit. Yeah, fucking there it is. Yay! I have the article open.
But you didn't have to use Skype. It's in Discord too.
Yeah, I know. That was dumb.
What a mess.
What a mess. Can you see the setting of that? It looks like it has. It looks like it's pretend serious. Like let's put on a the serious setting for a political.
A sirical.
debate.
Did you say
Assyrian.
sirical?
Assyrian.
I love how
hell.
it also says updated.
By the way, have you ever seen pictures of Syria? Of how beautiful it was before that fucking war happened?
Yeah, it was a nice place.
Yeah, I know of people who actually went to Syria like years ago and they said like how beautiful it was over there. There's like nothing left of most of the things.
Well, that's the same way in like any war-torn country. It's like, wow, it was great at one time, and then it's like, well,
I mean, not necessarily. Some places look like shit and then the war starts and they still look like shit. That does happen as well. But
yeah,
like,
but then also like there's some people like when I was going to Germany, people were like, oh, how is it gonna look after the war? I haven't been there in a long time, and it's like, it looks like a city that's moved on 50 years later. That has bullet holes everywhere.
yeah. Well, anyway, I think we're just delaying the inevitable here. The article.
Yeah, we are.
I'll just read the title. You can read the rest.
Because you hate me, yeah.
I'm gonna try to read this article, the title, to begin with a straight face. I don't know if that's... Noted political thinker, Jake Paul.
I hear you laughing.
This is no commas, and it
But
needs some commas.
but it's really easy to read it with a straight face.
It's just too stupid.
But it is.
It's just... Anyway,
Noted-
guys, just...
Noted
Just do
political
it.
thinker Jake Paul has some ideas on how to stop the next school shooting.
And it's updated.
So it
Okay.
something was changed about this. It apparently needed an update.
Okay. Are you guys ready for me to read it?
Definitely.
Okay. Jake Paul, the vlogger known for his tremendous popularity among teens and also
retards.
kids, I know that for a fact, and for being the single worst neighbor in the state of California, decided to step back from his life of stunts and opulence to tackle a serious subject he knows nothing about: school shootings. Specifically, he'd like to stop them from happening.
No way.
Paul,
How dare he?
Really? There's people trying to stop school shootings? Like they don't want them to happen? Really? Wow. I thought
it's a minority, I assure you.
Okay.
Paul, unfortunately, Paul seems to have learned from the highly publicized gaffes of his older brother, who dipped a callous toe in upsetting subject matter with his now infamous suicide forest video. Jake, to his credit, went down to Parkland, Florida, to speak with survivors, their families, local officials, and Senator Marco Rubio, with the intent of solving the ongoing problem of gun violence in America. Oh, if I was about to something tragic, that would be the last person I'd want to come over there.
I just want to see the conversation between Jake Paul and Marco Rubio.
I want to see that so bad. Okay.
It could kill all your brain cells.
Also, it's in Florida, so that tells you enough. What becomes immediately apparent is that Paul, like other YouTubers, is a poor interviewer, asking broad questions that are either deeply uninformed or calculatedly non-combative. In the case of Marco Rubio, fresh off getting utterly destroyed by a teenager on national television, Paul's hardest question was, I think like a lot of people will think passing laws is super easy. Can you explain some of the struggles around passing laws? Rubio provides some rambling non-answers sprinkled with an inane 9/11 reference, which do little to change his image among America's youth of a senator as a slimy NRA shill. In that sense, the interview went close to perfect. But back to the matter at hand, Jake Paul's serious plan to fix a serious issue. According to him, there are 5 points refuted by the subjects in Parkland he spoke to. 1. Increased action from social media companies. Actually rings valuable, but delivered in typical vlogger.
Wait.
Okay.
Let me just think about something here. How many fucking school shooters are gonna be the popular people that are also popular and very active on social media, so that there is something to monitor on their social media to actually see that they're gonna be doing this shit? Like, how is social media gonna help with any of this? I mean, I don't get it. I don't get how that does anything in this case. So yeah.
According to him, he said, if a girl posts a picture with her nipples out, it automatically gets flagged and removed from Instagram and reported under a system. So why can't we have that same technology with a kid taking a selfie of a handgun or a kid in a video killing animals? That should pop up on someone's radar, and companies should have the moral responsibility to add that to their flagging systems. Yeah, really, here's another idea. Why don't we contact their parents?
I mean, is there really, did they really go back and check on, the school shooters? Oh, they had pictures of them holding guns. Oh, they had pictures. Of
there are quite a few of them that they did have access to them at home. Once again, because keep in mind, in America is very pro-gun. So if you've got guns in the home, kids love handling them. Every person who I know who owns a gun who's younger, their family owns them. They want to touch them. They want to touch them. They want to shoot them. They want to interact with them all the time. They want to show it off all the time.
Yeah, but they shouldn't really be handling the fucking gun.
No, they shouldn't. And there are a couple of kids I know that their parents did teach them responsibility. But it's still very much in the culture in America is the culture of guns. It's still a huge thing.
I mean, I don't get it for fucking kids. Just keep your fucking kids away from guns.
Nope. And whereas it's the exact opposite. I know kids who their parents, because they're so big on guns, they'll get their kids toy guns to get them ready for it. Like like how like you get your kid like a toy car. Well, they get them toy guns.
Okay, that's.
They're like really close to looking like real replicas. Anyway, cool. I agree. Given that Marjorie Stoneman Douglas shooter's Instagram post, which depicted his arsenal and documented an incident of animal abuse, social media companies owe that to their users and the public, and perhaps framing dull subject matter, user safety, in relatable teen terms. Lol nudes might get a young audience to consider this as an important chance to demand.
What the fuck is that
I
shit?
take it back to. It doesn't. It's like YouTube where they're like, oh, we're gonna flag this, and this, and it doesn't, and it's like, cool. Anyway, in the real world, that's what this harkens to. Anyway, I take it all back. Jake Paul is a genius. Paul's other 4 points on his action plan essentially boil down to greater militarization of schools, bulletproof windows, heightened. Bro, we're lucky if we can even get windows cleaned. Bulletproof windows, heightened police presence, check-in points, and bulletproof backpack inserts for kids. Though a balanced and actionable approach to gun reform appears in the description of Paul's video, and a ban on assault weapons is suggested by a survivor he speaks to, it doesn't make the cuts for reasons unknown. There's not much substance to the nearly 22-minute video, which has functionally put Paul's channel on hiatus for the past 2 weeks. Though it's hard to make a case that he's actively causing harm. I'm not so sure about that, but, you do you. The video accumulates with Paul teasing further videos of the story.
My brain cells. Isn't
oh, no, I think we can claim more. The video accumulates with Paul teasing further videos following the story of a family of survivors and a promise to donate $25,000 to the cause. Presumably, the Stoneman Douglas Victims Fund linked in the video. There are 5 donations of that amount listed. At this time, none are from Jake Paul, though we hope to see his name listed among Anthony's Coal-Fired Pizza and Spirit Airlines soon. Update at 3/12/18, 7:54 p.m. Eastern Time. Approximately 3 hours after the video went live, Paul clarified his specific recommendations for gun reform in his 3.1 million followers on Twitter, which included an end to gun shows and mandatory mental health evaluations for prospective firearms buyers. Welcome, Comrade Jake. Do you want me to read the whole? I refuse to read that whole post.
So it seems like he fucking flip-flopped on something. In the video, it made it seem like he cut it out, so he was like really pro guns or some shit. That's the way like they seem to interpret the video as they looked at it. But then now it seems like he's pro reforms there, so.
But it's clearly not actual reforms from someone, once again, who was informed.
Yeah.
Like, clearly this is not someone who's like gone outside or been, like, obviously he might be one of those people who like comes from a gun family, but the idea though of, well, what can we do when this thing routinely happens in this country and we're the only country that routinely has it, like.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, how many of the fucking shooters actually have their own guns? Like, because I get, like, the thing makes sense that you have to be, like, I feel like 21 or something, like, they set there to buy a gun. Seems like a decent age there. But, like, how many of the people, how is that gonna affect anything since most people just have their family's guns?
Exactly. Well, that's what they were saying for, like, school shooters. But the other thing, though, is, like, such as the Las Vegas shooter, he was just allowed to just go by and stock up. Like, you are, like, there is not really anything against, if you want to make your own armory, there's nothing against it.
What's professional mental health of evaluation?
Professional mental health evaluation?
No, professional mental health.
Yeah, it says mental health.
Is that what he wrote?
Yeah. Okay, that's good. What is the banned gun shows thing gonna fucking do anyway?
Because a lot of people use those because when you buy gun shows, you can either use like cash or credit or whatever. But basically, though, you don't have to show an ID. You could just buy a gun.
Well, then
anyone can buy a gun, even if you're underage.
I mean, they shouldn't really just ban the gun shows. They should just change them, I guess, then, so that you can't buy a fucking thing there.
Well, that's what they say, though, that it's like, well, I'm free to purchase whatever I want to purchase, and I want to purchase all this stuff, and you can't stop me. Like, that's a thing. So.
Yeah, just
Like there's no accountability with that. Like just telling you right off, there is absolutely none because there's a lot of gun shows in my state, and then people are like, "Hey, look, I got this gun for real cheap," and I didn't have to wait for any background check or nothing.
yeah, that just sounds like something that shouldn't really
There's no
happen.
waiting time, and generally, like you can even pay in cash and like just get your gun and go.
Yeah, it's just like I get that America has like their gun culture and shit, and like that should be respected to some degree.
No,
But like obviously like really fucking insane people. Like, can you just imagine somebody being like, somebody just being totally off their rockers and it's like, okay, yeah, sir, you can buy a gun. You can buy 50 guns. Definitely. That doesn't make any fucking sense
Yeah.
to me.
well, like, and it sounds like it's only something you could do in GTA. Like, like how in GTA you just run into the store and you pick up guns, and like the guy doesn't go, "Wait a minute, what do you need with that many pistols?" Or like,
Hey.
"What do you do with all that ammo?" Like, it's kind of like the same thing. Americans like, "Oh, you want to get all that stuff? Cool."
Can you imagine Trump going to his meeting with Kim Jong-un with a gun in his hands?
Oh shit.
I wouldn't be
that would
surprised if someone were to tell me that every single person who was American who were going to go to that meeting had a gun in their hand. I'd be like, "Yeah, that sounds about right."
that sounds. That's how I know my America.
That's going guns a-blazing. That's called was it like
And I'm proud to
gunboat
be an
diplomacy.
American.
You know what's weird? Like every time you bring up that to like people who are like into guns, like the thing that I hear is like that there's so many apparently mass stabbings, but that they don't never make the news. Apparently, that's one of the excuses that I hear from people who are pro guns. Even with that shit, it's really hard pressed to find anything about it, any of that. Did you hear of many mass stabbings, Onyx?
That seems like something that would happen in my state, but honestly though, like not that big of a thing. Because keep in mind that when you're stabbing someone versus something like with like guns or like even if you want to consider like a bow and arrow, is that you have to get close to them in order to use a knife. Like you can't do it at a distance, which you could do with a gun. That's the reason why you could do so much damage is that you can hit someone like 10 feet away from you and then also hit someone who's closer to you. The range is bigger.
The problem with knives is if you would exert a lot of force and you would get them in the wrong place, you still have a chance of getting stuck on bone, for example, and then having a harder time retracting the knife to stab the next victim. So it would take longer to get the same body count, definitely. So, I mean, it would definitely have less of an effect. And who knows if you stab, like for this, like if somebody stabs someone, and someone's first response isn't isn't flight but is fight. If you stab someone and someone else's like first response is like, I'm gonna knock the fucking shit out of this guy, and they punch you in the face, well then you just stabbed someone. That's not necessarily a mass stabbing, so that can happen as well. And not everyone.
Well, also though, a lot of people are just so surprised whenever they do. Whenever like someone gets shot or gets stabbed, there's always that moment where like they're just shocked, and then they get like adrenaline rushing in. So.
Yeah, there's first a shock, but there is people who are gonna react like with violence of their own rather than just with
Me.
Yeah.
Well, you know that with me that there was a guy I told you about this who kept fluking out what was it? It was a pocket knife at me, and I told him to knock it off because he kept aiming it at me, and he refused to. And I said, "If you do it again, I am a lot faster than you are." And I said, "I will slam your face into a wall." And he's like, "Well, I got a gun." And I said, "I guarantee you, because you're slow. I know that for a fact. Your reflexes are slow. That I could probably knock you out before you get to a gun." Because he's one of those people that believes that, if I've got a gun, no one can touch me. That just the idea of it really preserves it. Whereas I know if I punch you, I've got a mean left hook, and a lot of people don't expect it because people forget I'm left-handed.
Yeah, the thing as well is definitely. I've said it before when it comes to like guns, like even when Metal didn't really believe that much about it. As I think last time. It's like if you're like in an enclosed space, like I mean, you lose a lot of the advantage you have with a gun. Like somebody could.
Yeah, it's better at a distance.
Yeah,
Somebody-
I believe that, but I don't believe that it's somehow less effective than a knife or anything else, because that simply isn't true.
I mean, if you're fast with
Well,
a knife,
it also once again depends on how trained you are. Like the thing about guns and the reason why they're so deadly partially is not just because of the fact that it's metal, you can do it from distance. It's also that it's pretty easy to point and shoot. Whereas if you actually want to be effective with like a knife or like a sword, you actually have to have a lot of training for it. Like you obviously can have training for, like if you really want to do like long distance shooting with a gun, like obviously like that does take a lot of training. But if you just chose to wake up one day and like I'm gonna go kill a bunch of people with a gun, you can do that. Whereas with a knife, it's a lot harder.
The only way it's gonna have an advantage with a knife is if like the burglar or whatever is dumb enough to put his gun on safety and leave it.
Well,
I mean-
or if keep in mind though that with guns though, and I've told this to people who are like really like they think that guns will protect them from anything. So like if anything goes wrong, it's like, well, I got a gun. Is that you run out of bullets, whereas
Yeah.
a knife does not run out of stab. Like it does not suddenly like obviously like knives do dull over time, and you have to get like a strop and sharpen it again. But you could probably how many people that you could stab or somebody you could shoot. You could stab a lot more people.
To be honest, even a
before
dull
it runs
knife
out.
even a dull knife is still more dangerous than an empty gun. I mean, you could
Oh,
smack
yeah.
someone in the head with a gun, but like you can still
Pistol
with enough
whipping, yeah.
force, stab someone with a dull knife.
Yeah. Although that one would be a lot more painful, I feel like. If you were stabbed with like a blunt knife.
Yeah, it would definitely be a completely different type of pain as well. I guess it would be less sudden, but it would be, still be very painful. Shit.
Yeah. It also depends on though where like you were stabbed / shot.
Yeah.
Because
Anyway,
do you know where like the main arteries are? That sort of thing.
yeah, that's the type of thing. Like, if obviously that's the thing with stabbing as well. Like, if somebody comes up with a knife, it's not necessarily true that they will stab you somewhere that it's deadly immediately. They could still just leave a cut in a place that isn't too bad.
Oh damn, we still have another fucking segment.
Yeah, the last one.
What?
I have the hogwash headline hunt that we're gonna do now. It's just basically.
Oh, okay.
We have 5 slides here. They all have 4 articles on them, and one of them is a bullshit article, so you kind of have to guess by the title. So I'm gonna start reading them in a few when we get the first one, and when we get this hogwash headline hunt on the road, I would say. Let's start it. So, only thoughts and prayers will stop evil behind shootings, Florida State Senator says. Second one. Anti-Immigration League presents Italy with first black senator, Tony Iwobi. CNN panelist warn North Korea situation way too complex for them to discuss intelligently. Lego admits it made too many bricks.
So
Yeah,
how
so-
many are fake?
Only
One
one.
of them.
Only one?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it's either 2 or 4.
Okay. What do you think, Metal?
I'm gonna go with 3.
Yeah, 3 is an article from The Onion. It's basically...
Oh, okay.
It's like... It's basically a satirical article about like something people on the news would never actually say. That they fucking don't know shit about it, and that's too complex for them to discuss. So it's basically just a satirical article on The Onion.
Makes more sense.
So Lego did admit that it made too many bricks.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I mean, they've made so many different ones. Like, I don't even think all of them all fit together. So
There's no way it can.
Are all the fake ones that you found this time on The Onion, or did you come up
Yeah.
with some yourself?
No, I had to make. I think I came up with one. So that's basically it. Most of them come from The Onion. So it's basically not The Onion versus The Onion again.
Right.
So let's go to the second one. We have Coca-Cola will launch first ever alcoholic drink in Japan. Russia MP. I don't feel people up. Well, okay, just a little. People keep mistaking the National Restaurant Association for the NRA. Caravan man found guilty of illegally camping on his own property.
So how many are fake? Only one?
It's one, yeah.
Okay.
Two?
So you think it's the second one?
Yeah.
I think it's also the second one because I'm pretty sure the first one's already happened. But I kind of also want to think three's fake.
No, the Coca-Cola one is actually an article from The Onion.
I was gonna say, like, clearly that's happened at some point.
Wait,
Yeah.
no, it is from The Onion.
Yeah, so it's fake.
No, but I mean, as in the like, that's not his style of making stuff up. That's what I mean.
Yeah. That is yeah.
That's not your style, Trumbull. Yeah. So I think it's either two or.
No. He said that it's one.
I know. I said I'm saying though that it's either two or three because clearly number one it wasn't written by him,
Yeah,
and I don't think number four was written by him either because I don't think that. No offense, Trumbull, but I don't think the word caravan is in your lexicon.
No, but
Yes,
he
it is.
said he said that the Coca-Cola one comes from The Onion.
Yeah, which is
No, but isn't one
So
of them
it's
though
a
supposed to be
fake
one
one.
that he made up?
no,
No.
that's in another one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say when I made one up myself. I'm just gonna say like most of them are from like the fake ones are from The Onion, and the real ones are from not The Onion subreddit where they just put up weird articles from other publications. So things that just seem weird.
From
like they
actual news.
yeah, things that seem like they should be bullshit that aren't. So anyway, Virginia driver faces charges after running over himself. Dunkirk survivor praises film as most realistic depiction of cowardly fleeing from battle. Limp Bizkit's Fred Durst is directing a thriller where John Travolta plays an insane stalker.
I hope that one's the fake one.
New study shows marrying your first cousin is not as bad as it seems.
I'm gonna say three.
Yeah.
No, the fucking Dunkirk one.
I'm gonna give.
What? Oh,
Okay, I won't guess then.
I thought you said yeah, as in like I'm going for 3 as well. Oh, fuck me.
I didn't even know I said yeah.
Which one were you actually going for?
I was gonna say 4, but okay. Of course, it somehow is a real article. But there's a
I'm
new
not
study.
surprised.
I mean, that was probably done in Maryland.
I was gonna say it's got to be something like the Appalachian Mountains, where there are still a lot of places where people still believe it's okay to do incest.
Yeah, did you know that in Maryland, apparently, you can't have vaginal intercourse with your sister, but anything else probably goes.
So anal's fine.
Yeah.
Blowjobs, great.
If you're in Maryland, you can fuck your sister.
If you want to eat them out, fine.
That's all fine. There was nothing about it. No vaginal intercourse, though.
Everything else, yeah, eat it. You can eat them out, yeah.
I think that law was just purely thinking about the practical ramifications. It was like, incest. That leads to, like, deformed incest babies. So no vaginal intercourse, so no babies.
But anything else, totally okay.
I think that's probably how they came up with that shit anyway. So anyway, the next one. Voodoo dolls of bosses improve staff morale, study finds. Over 500 Canadian doctors protest raises, say they're being paid too much. Israel to build Jewish Disneyland with rides designed by rabbis. Marco Rubio still rock hard days after being publicly humiliated on a national stage.
I'm gonna say 4 is the one that's
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah, this one was easy.
Although I do like the idea of 3 being real. I think that'd be funny.
No, that means that it is real.
Yeah,
Okay,
it is
that'd be
real.
great.
It
It's
is
real.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, I haven't read further into that, but it sounds fucking funny. But
So were we right? 4?
yeah, 4 is bullshit.
Yes.
I mean, he probably
Is
was
this
still
one
rock
that-
hard, huh?
Is this one that you wrote down?
No,
Really?
that wasn't the one. So,
I love how we have to go, really? It wasn't you?
so a man with Guinness World Record for smallest penis is now suing the publication for a defamation. Texas judge... that rhymes! The Texas judge orders electric shocks for uncooperative defendant. A man found 54 human hands in the snow. Russia says they're probably just trash. Man claims Pizza Hut put his big photo on pizza boxes without his knowledge.
Put his what?
Photo.
Yeah.
That's funny. Okay, I'm really
As-
hoping that I think 2 and 4 sound real. So
I guess 3.
I'm gonna say 1 just to be smart aleck.
Yeah, 1 was the one that I actually came up with myself.
Yes.
Right. I wanted that to be true.
Yeah, same. Like I also wasn't really that surprised, but then I was listening to 3 and I'm like, but that sounds like something Russia would do.
Yeah.
So that was what gave it away. It's like consider the country.
Yeah, I mean, with the bad outlook that everyone has on Russia, I mean, that's something you would expect from Russia.
Well, it's not like they're doing anything to combat it. Let's call it like it is.
Yeah, it's not like. they're
And
doing
2, I've actually heard of that recently. I actually heard of 2 recently, where there were some places that want to incorporate, basically electrocuting people if they don't like, if they disagree with them in court.
Lol. Yeah, but that was in America. That was Texas, the electrocuting thing.
Yeah, that's America though.
Yeah. Okay, they're doing some silly shit there as well. Okay, you. Can you imagine if they start electrocuting lawyers as well? Like some guys are like, objection, denied.
I
Stop
wouldn't.
saying
Once
objection.
again, that's another thing about the U.S. Like, if you were to tell me that, I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be like, okay, that sounds about right.
Fucking hell. Like, how many people would still want to be a lawyer if there's like a risk of getting electrocuted?
I guarantee you, people applying to be lawyers would go up for people who are into that. Imagine it's like finally the profession for me.
Like masochists who are just
Yeah.
like, and they're just like gonna object to things they know that they
But
can't
isn't
object to.
Isn't
Yeah.
that also like a fetish though to get electrocuted? I'm pretty sure that is one.
Yeah, maybe that's.
It's not. I know it's not
Well, it's-
autoerotic asphyxiation because that's if you're being choked and you can't breathe.
Yeah, but
Autoerotic electrification. That's the
It's
thing.
got something like that. I'm pretty sure that that's a real thing.
it's
Autoerotic
definitely
electric ball stimulation.
something masochistic.
Yeah.
It's like in the future, all of the lawyers are just gonna be like masochists, like all of the dentists are sadists. Just wanna,
Are they?
I guess so. That's
Maybe you're Dennis.
well, that was in Little Shops of Horror, so that makes sense, doesn't it?
Because you know that everything you hear from a musical is absolutely right.
Yeah, definitely. Doesn't make any fucking sense. Definitely, there's a lot of like killer plants out there that want to just eat people. Definitely.
Yeah, Venus flytraps. Oh no, wait, those don't eat people. Never mind.
Fucking hell. I think this podcast has been a really long one, it seems, because we were over
Yeah.
the 2
Sorry.
hour mark. Damn. Yeah, just it was because we got off track, but I think I was kind of expecting that, getting you on as a guest as well, that there was a big chance that we would get off track and stuff.
Yeah, but you're also, yeah, I was gonna say, you know, the genocide's gonna be mentioned at one point, and what are my other big things? Death is gonna be mentioned.
Yeah,
There's something else.
A lot of people that jumped in front of trains. That was something that got mentioned a lot. I don't know why we kept mentioning that specifically.
Yeah, wait, just something to go back to. Yeah.
I'm still just imagining, like, you know how in cartoons when people get flattened, like their skin goes like this, or like their flat body goes like, and it like falls down
yeah.
like a leaf. I just imagine somebody jumping in front of a train and like their skin just coming down like that.
Or like a parachute, like.
Oh.
I would just imagine like a corpse without skin, like dangling from the skin, and the skin is like a parachute. Like,
Yeah.
Surely that's been done before.
And then it's like,
a sort of it.
and then it lands like neatly in a coffin.
That'd be nice. That'd be nice timing. Easier. Well, you'll know this when you get through your program, but like it's really hard to dress a dead body.
Yeah, I guess I'll see.
Yeah, you're gonna find out. Like, there's people who they either like there are some people who legitimately do try to put on the clothes on the dead people, but a lot of people are just lazy and they'll just like cut through like the back and then just put like their arms on like it was like Velcro clothes for like dolls.
can you also imagine if it's like a dead Nazi and it's like his like dead is like laying there and his arm is still like that? You're like, damn, now I have to get dressed that guy and you have to just put his arm down and just put his clothes on.
Yeah, just put him in a common cemetery, whatever it's called, Potter's Field or something. It'll be okay.
Yeah, just
no one was gonna go and visit them anyway. Let's call it like it is.
yeah, probably. Now I just remember like what they when after like Gaddafi was killed or something, they put his like corpse somewhere, and then people just started doing shit, like attacking his corpse. Would probably be something like that.
That reminds me of that one mortician I told you guys about that I follow. That she was talking about. There was one time where basically this one guy, he was an outlaw or something like that. But when he died, though, the mortician just took his body and like propped it up in store windows, and then eventually like the mortuary closed, and then like the body kept going around and around like to different places. People claimed it, and then like he eventually just ended up as like a prop in like a fun house at one point.
Yeah,
And people didn't realize that he was a human until like this one crew was like, let's check to see if it was a dummy. And then they were like, wow, there's actually genitals on this. I think this might be a real person. They're like, oh shoot, we've had a corpse this whole time. We just thought it was just a really ugly mannequin. That's the thing.
I heard that story before, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, imagine being the people like, surely not.
This is a really realistic doll. It even has genitals. Was this a sex doll of some sort? Oh,
Well, consider the time
it's a really
period when it
ugly
was
sex
found.
doll.
This was before sex dolls were really, with genitals. But anyway.
It's sex dolls without genitals. How does that even work?
To the realism.
Hey.
To the realism.
Let's end the podcast.
Yeah, I guess we should. Okay.
Yeah, I
people.
sent you some links.
Yeah, we should probably check that shit. Not now because I won't be up for much longer. I think I'm gonna go.
No, you need to go to
sleep as
bed.
well.
It's like what, like 2 a.m. your time or something?
Yeah, not that bad. It's like 12 or something.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
not for you guys. That's early.
Yeah. Well, I have work tomorrow as well, so yeah.
Bummer.
Anyway, this is where we're gonna end this podcast, and we'll catch you in the next episode as well. Still quiet.